Beautiful weather, 77 degrees. We have sunshine in New York and sun mixing with clouds. It stays comfortable. Today, maybe a shower north and west of the city and a high of 80 degrees. And details live from the Weather Center coming your way at 11:08. Well, we begin this edition of Newsline with a news story that, well, we certainly wish we did not have to report. Today, Odyssey announced the end of the 880 AM frequency. This will be effective the 26th of August at 12:01 a.m. The current WCBS All News format will be replaced with All Sports ESPN Radio. We'll also be retiring the WCBS AM call letters pending FCC approval. Now, over these next 2 weeks, we will be looking back on air at WCBS's long history. For some 60 years, we have served as a source of connection and information for generations of New Yorkers, featuring legendary trusted voices from Charles Osgood to Jim Donnelly and Lou Adler to today's award-winning, hardworking, dedicated staff. WCBS 880 has been one of the more respected radio stations in history. The home of the Mets, as you know, and the first, maybe you didn't know, to air traffic and weather together. If it happened in New York or the world, you heard about it right here on WCBS 880. By the way, we will be broadcasting a live commemorative special, WCBS 880 News, the people, the moments, the events that shaped our lives. It'll feature our own Wayne Cabot, of course, the heart and soul of this station. And that will air on August 22nd from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. In other news this morning to Long Island, where a would-be car thief didn't get very far after the victim.
As journalists, we are taught, never make yourself the story. Today, we are the story. Our parent company, Odyssey, announced today that WCBS 880 will cease to exist, and news programming will end as of 12:01 a.m. on Sunday, August 26th. It's a sad day in our WCBS newsroom, and joining me on the air now, my first ever on-air partner when I first came to WCBS a bunch of years ago, Wayne Cabot. Wayne, I describe my reaction as shocked, but not necessarily surprised. What are your thoughts today?
Yeah, I'm not sure if I'm shocked or not surprised or surprised and not shocked. We all have seen the headwinds in the radio industry. We all knew what was happening with advertising going to digital. It's affecting radio, television, newspapers, old media. So we can be logical about it, and yet it's still a gut punch. When I started at the WCBS newsroom in 1988, I walked in there among a bunch of luminaries and legends and was sure I did not belong there and was waiting for them to tap me on the shoulder and say, "We made a mistake, you're fired." Well, this morning I finally got tapped on the shoulder, Steve. It took them 37 years, but I finally got that tap on the shoulder. And it's gratifying to have been part of a legendary radio station. I would say over the course of years, the best radio station in all of America. That touches people on so many levels, not just as a source of information and reliability, but companionship and warmth and family. For anyone who's listened, as I did as a kid, in the back of Dad's car or in the kitchen, and then working here and having friends here, it is an immense privilege that few people in this industry have ever experienced or ever will. So for that, I am immeasurably grateful.
You know, we think about the moments through the years, the big events. I mentioned earlier, Tom Kaminsky told the world about 9/11. And when Sandy left much of the area in the dark and knocked other radio stations off the air, somehow we stayed on. And people with transistor radios and those little crank radios from R. Crane were able to listen to us. And, I remember that we got letters and emails from people saying, "Man, I was scared, and you guys comforted me. You made me feel safe."
And, Steve, that's 100% true. And it's also true that even when things were not blowing up around us, even when there weren't catastrophes, even on just a regular day when it was an average news day, we still made that connection. And I'm gonna put a speaker here so I can read something. You mentioned the emails that we get, and I just got one from a listener in Connecticut, Nina, who is probably listening right now. She said, "You just heard Brigitte make the announcement and said, I feel sick. I am close to tears at the thought. You have been in our house and home for so many years, been with me through so many changes, some good, some not so good, but always, whenever we were and whatever we were doing, you all were there. Familiar voices, inside jokes, empathy, and joy made us smile. Renewed hope, and as friends will do, stayed predictable and reliable. So, Steve, you've talked about being the source for news. Now everyone wonders, hey, what's your political point of view? Are you left? Are you right? Where are you coming from? What's your bias? What's your agenda? That wasn't a question we had to answer when we started, before everything went crazy in this information ecosystem that we're all part of. So I'm kind of glad that it's ending on that note. We can get out with a measure of respect, because it's becoming more and more difficult in this news environment, I am very unhappy to say.
Yeah, that's a lovely note that you just read there. And, you know, a lot of us around here, we've kind of grown as family. I can't believe that your two kids are like full-fledged adults. How can that possibly be? You know, Paul Murnane's daughter wasn't she just this tall a couple weeks ago?
I know.
You know, Bridget's kids, Mike's kids. But I'm glad to hear you say, you know, that somebody recognizes that we were kind of their family too, because people have been nice enough to invite this radio station into their home for 57 years, and it's been a privilege. It really has.
You know, and my daughter was here when I got the news. We're on vacation right now in Cape Cod. I had my Bermuda shorts and flip-flops on. I was about to make a margarita when all of a sudden this happened. And my daughter was in tears. My wife's in tears. I'm still kind of in shock, to be honest with you. But my son had the best line of all. I said, you know, Adam, since I was 14 years old, I wanted to work at this radio station with all these legends. I got my wish. I had my lifelong ambition. Now I get to turn the lights off. It's been a privilege. And he said, are you considering the fact that maybe you're the reason that the station has been driven into the ground? I said, well, I hadn't looked at it that way. Thank you.
Thanks, kid. Appreciate it. Wayne Cabot, a trusted voice on this radio station for so long, since 1988. Love you, brother. Thanks for coming on.
Love you, Steve, and a big hug from afar. And here in Cape Cod, I'm going to keep listening to you because we come in like a local station. We almost made it to 100. You know that?
Almost.
September 20th, 1924 is when we signed on. We almost made it. That's a pretty good lifespan. I'm pleased.
All right, Wayne. Enjoy Cape Cod. Say hi to the family, and we'll talk soon.
All right, Steve.
WCBS anchor Wayne Cabot. WCBS Long Island Bureau Chief Sophia Hall.
The Suffolk County Juvenile Human Trafficking Court has only been open for 2 months, but since that time, 30 young people have already been receiving counseling. Judge Andrew Krekka says Long Island is a place where children human trafficking is a big problem.
Children as young as 11, 12, 13 years old are being trafficked. You know, they could end up there a number of different ways, whether they're runaways or the like.
This court identifies victims and those potentially who will become a victim of human trafficking, and then they get the help they need.
It is definitely possible to break the cycle. We've had human trafficking courts in New York State that dealt with adult populations and have really been very successful in the past.
In Suffolk County, Sophia Hall, WCBS 880 News.
Now at 2:34, we turn to the Middle East.
The U.S., Egyptian, and Qatari mediators wrapped up their two-day meeting, expressing hope that a ceasefire deal could be sealed when they reconvene in Egypt next week. Hamas, which is not directly represented in the talks, though, has accused the U.S. of creating, quote, a false atmosphere. Vicky Barker, CBS News, London.
But the U.S. doesn't quite see it that way.
President Biden says he's optimistic about prospects for a ceasefire and hostage release deal between Israel and Hamas after 2 days of talks in Doha.
We are closer than we've ever been.
The president told reporters in the Oval Office he doesn't want to jinx anything.
But we're not there yet. It was much, much closer than it was 3 days ago.
The president's expressed optimism at other points during the 10-month war, only for talks to break down. This time, mediators hope to get together again in Cairo next week to seal a deal.
Keep your fingers crossed.
Sagar Meghani, Washington.
Hurricane Ernesto is set to hit Bermuda later today as it moves up through the Atlantic. CBS's Dave Malkoff in Bermuda.
We also have a possibility of 2 feet of storm surge, 1 foot of rainwater, and that's going to be throughout maybe the weekend. We don't know how long that will last because it depends on how fast this storm is going to come over us, or if it's going to hover over in Puerto Rico. Is going about 16 miles an hour.
Ernesto is set to bring dangerously strong rip currents to beaches in our area by this weekend. Here's reporter Carol Dioria.
There are signs up at Rockaway Beach telling folks what to do if they're caught in a rip current. Keep calm and swim parallel to the shore to escape it. If that's not possible, then simply float or tread water. Julia was sunning herself and said the most she will do is put her toes in the water. She knows the water has a mind of its own.
When I was in Hawaii, and I probably shouldn't have gone in the water, and I think that's when I learned my lesson. And I went and I was not even knee deep, and a wave came and pulled me in, and it was the scariest thing.
Most other beachgoers agreed they get in and get out quickly. The risk of a rip current is high until Saturday night at 9 p.m. In Rockaway Beach, Carol Dioria, WCBS 880 News.
2:36, Americans are feeling a little bit better about the economy these days.
The University of Michigan's monthly survey has remained essentially flat for 4 straight months, but consumers were more optimistic about personal finances and the long-term economic outlook. The survey has been increasingly partisan in its direction, with sentiment among Democrats rising 6% this month after Kamala Harris replaced President Joe Biden on the Democratic ticket, while sentiment for Republicans was down 5%. 41% of survey respondents said they think Harris is the better candidate for the economy, while 38% chose Donald Trump.
That's CBS News business reporter Jason Brooks. TikTok has filed court documents showing they intend to fight a ban on their platform, saying it's a violation of free speech. More from CBS's Cooper Lawrence.
Have you been wondering what's going on with the TikTok ban? The law passed in April, but it's not gone into effect yet. Oral arguments in the case are scheduled for September 16th, and as of today, TikTok has filed court documents saying that a ban would be, quote, the most sweeping speech restriction in the country's history. The government argues that ByteDance, the Chinese company that owns TikTok, could weaponize the app to disseminate propaganda and collect the personal data of its 170 million users. Cooper Lawrence, CBS News.
2:38 at WCBS. Traffic and weather together on the 8s. And we start with you, Andre Farrell.
Yeah, we have huge delays if you're traveling in Queens, eastbound Grand Central Parkway from Jewell Avenue all the way to the long-term roadwork passing Alley Pond Park and passing the Francis Lewis Boulevard area. Plus, the southbound Clearview is feeling the brunt of those delays as well, trying to get down towards Hillside Avenue and Queens Village. And then eastbound on the LIE, from Maurice Avenue all the way to the Clearview, bumper to bumper to bumper across the span and heading past the area of the Flushing Meadows Park and the fairgrounds. It's going to take a while if you're traveling in Queens right now. Brooklyn isn't much better. It's the same deal. Westbound across the BQE, across the Kosciuszko, heading towards the exit 32 ramp to bring you onto the Williamsburg. That's stacked up. And then more delays are going to continue passing the Brooklyn Bridge and Flushing Avenue. You're getting a wallop there as well. Inbound Gowanus 39th Street up to the Prospect is slow. And I'm seeing that the Battery Tunnel is actually picking up a lot of volume heading towards Manhattan. Why? Well, people are getting frustrated using the in and outbound Gowanus and heading over by Atlantic Avenue. I can't blame you for that. Just go right through, pay the toll, and save the gas. Now, if you're traveling outbound Holland, outbound Lincoln, you're looking at 25 minutes on both. Inbound Georgia, solid 40. Outbound delays are almost an hour. Andre Farrow, WCBS Traffic Center.
For the rest of the afternoon, hazy sun and a few clouds. It'll be very warm, a bit more humid than we've been used to, the high of 88. Turning out cloudy tonight, it'll be warm in the city with the low of 72, but 60s for many of the suburbs. Saturday, not as warm, but more humid with more clouds and sun. There'll be an afternoon shower in spots, especially west of the city, the high of 82. Showers will become more numerous at night and during the day Sunday. Mostly cloudy, breezy, and humid with occasional rain and a thunderstorm Sunday. Any storm can bring a flooding downpour, the high of 80.
Meteorologist Jason Caterina. Hazy sun, 87 degrees in New York. It's 2:40 at WCBS. We mentioned that today's my last show on WCBS. It comes on the anniversary of Elvis's death. And then Mark, who's listening in Cupertino, California today, points out that Pete Best was fired from the Beatles on this date in 1962. August 16th, a date which will live, apparently, in infamy. At 2:40 WCBS.
This Thursday at 10 a.m., join us for a special audio journey. WCBS 880 News. The people, the moments, the events that shaped our lives. Wayne Cabot, Paul Murnane, and Brigitte Quinn host a 3-hour special with interviews, conversations, and the memorable stories that defined us. This Thursday at 10 a.m. on WCBS 880 News.
WCBS New York. WCBS New York.
Small business owners. Spectrum Business knows you do it all. Make sales, track inventory, and keep your customers happy. Keep it all going with Spectrum One for Business.
Hazy sun with a few clouds this afternoon. Very warm and humid with a high of around 88. Cloudy tonight, the low 72 in the city, 60s in many suburbs. Tomorrow, cloudy and humid with an afternoon shower in spots and a high of 82. Then for Sunday, cloudy, breezy, humid, occasional rain, maybe a thunderstorm, and a high of 80. As we head into next week, Monday, cloudy and humid, showers, thunderstorms, high of 81. Showers end on Tuesday with brightening skies and lower humidity and a high of 74. Right now in New York City, we have a partly sunny sky. It's hazy with that Canadian wildfire smoke. 87 degrees in New York City. 250 at WCBS. Thank you to Sarah, who is in Greenville, South Carolina, listening to WCBS, my final show, and the final week of news for WCBS will be next week. And I'm learning more about August 16th. Okay, my last show, Pete Best fired from the Beatles, Elvis dies, and now Michael Wallace, my colleague, tells me that Babe Ruth and Aretha Franklin also died on this date. Can we do something about August 16th?
On Wall Street, though, stocks on track to close out their best week of gains since November, with more gains today just as consumer sentiment moved higher for August, the first increase in about 5 months. Right now, the Dow, the Nasdaq, and the S&P 500 all up about 0.25%. And now, back for fall, cinnamon, pumpkin spice, ultra-strong trash bags from Hefty. Now, when they first were introduced last year, they sold out in 90 minutes online. With Money News at 25 and 55 on WCBS, I'm Bloomberg's Tom Busby.
Tom, thank you. Pumpkin spice, trash bags, why not? Devin in Indianapolis, Catherine in Westchester, Diane in San Jose, Dave in L.A. We're big in California today, folks. Thank you for listening to WCBS. My final show as we start to wrap up all news after 57 years on 880.
Get the new Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 6 and Z Flip 6 powered by Galaxy AI with Spectrum free anytime upgrade. Use Circle to search with Google to see more and search more on the large Z Fold 6 screen. Or capture perfectly framed pics using FlexCam and Z Flip 6. Order now with Spectrum free anytime upgrade and get up to $1,000 off, plus the value of your trade-in. Visit a Spectrum store or SpectrumMobile.com today. Offer subject to change. Valid for qualified residential customers only. Service not available in all areas. Restrictions apply.
Need parts fast? O'Reilly Auto Parts has fast. Need them now? We've got now. No matter what you need, we have thousands of professional parts people doing their part to make sure you have it. We're O'Reilly Fast. Just one part that makes O'Reilly stand apart. The professional parts people.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Gain presents a tale of longing and long-lasting scent. Dear love of my life, we were on the 12B bus when I caught a whiff. A scent so fresh, so life-changing, I had to find its source. I didn't know if you were the woman in the pink freshly washed cardigan or the retired mailman next to me, but I knew one of you was my soulmate. Ah, the scent of Gain Flings. Add Gain scent beads for an even longer-lasting scent.
Small business owners. Spectrum Business knows you do it all. Make sales, track inventory, and keep your customers happy. Keep it all going with Spectrum One for Business. For just $49.99 a month, get fast, reliable internet, advanced Wi-Fi with Security Shield, and a free mobile line for 1 year. Visit spectrum.com/business to get internet, advanced Wi-Fi, and a free mobile line for a year for $49.99 a month. Visit spectrum.com/business today. Restrictions apply. Services not available in all areas.
WCBS News Time, 2:58. Traffic and weather together on the 8s with Andre Farrow.
So we have a pretty decent ride in Nassau County. I think many of the cars are having trouble getting through Queens to try to get to the northern state and to the LIE in Nassau. But the eastbound Southern State Parkway is busy because we have a crash right around exit 15 as you make your way through Valley Stream heading towards Eagle Avenue. So keep that in mind in your travels. Inbound George Washington Bridge, a 45-minute delay. Eastbound 46, southbound Palisades, all busy heading down to the George. The southbound Henry Hudson Parkway remains a tough go, heading down towards Dykeman. Northbound from the 130s up to the George, seeing big volume there. Andre Farrow, WCBS Traffic Center.
Forecast for the rest of the afternoon, hazy sunshine mixing with a few clouds. Warm and humid with a high in the mid to upper 80s. Cloudy tonight. The low 72 in the city, 60 in many suburbs. Cloudy and humid tomorrow with an afternoon shower in spots, high of 82. Then more rain overnight into Sunday. Cloudy, breezy, humid with occasional rain Sunday. Maybe a thunderstorm and a high of 80. 85 degrees now here in Hudson Square in Lower Manhattan.
When you need to know why, when it matters most. This is WCBS 880 News.
Kamala Harris unveils her economic plan in Battleground, North Carolina. Governor Murphy names his former chief of staff, George Helmy, to finish out the term of Senator Bob Menendez, who will resign on Tuesday. 2 people in the Bronx are hit by gunfire. One was a target, the other simply in the wrong place at the wrong time. A 3-year-old boy in Newark is clinging to life after he accidentally shot himself, 3 years old. Hurricane Ernesto, now a Category 2 storm, barrels toward Bermuda. This is WCBS and WCBS FM HD2, New York. On the record, I'm Steve Scott at 3 o'clock.
This is CBS News on the Hour, sponsored by O'Reilly Auto Parts.
I'm Linda Kenyon. Vice President Harris is outlining her economic plan.
Together, we will build what I call an opportunity economy. An opportunity economy.
Speaking in Raleigh, North Carolina, the presumptive Democratic presidential nominee said that means taking aim at unfair pricing.
I will work to pass the first ever federal ban on price gauging on food.
This is Harris's first major economic speech. Republican vice presidential nominee J.D. Vance is calling Kamala Harris soft on crime.
We need a president, Donald J. Trump, who makes their job easier and not harder. We've got to cut out with the anti-law enforcement craziness. We've got to cut out with some of the policies that have come from the Harris administration that make it harder for the police to do their job.
Vance was speaking in Milwaukee. The Secret Service is taking new steps to protect former President Trump at outdoor events after he was injured at a campaign rally last month in Butler, Pennsylvania.
Bulletproof glass technology to surround the podium or to surround the stage. That obviously wasn't there July 13th. It's not also something that is consistently provided to challengers or lower-level Secret Service protectees. That glass would be erected if he makes another outdoor rally.
CBS's Scott McFarland. Negotiators believe they have a deal that could end the fighting in Gaza.
I'm Vicki Barker at the Foreign Desk in London. The U.S., Egyptian, and Qatari mediators wrapped up their two-day meeting, expressing hope that a ceasefire deal could be sealed when they reconvene in Egypt next week. President Joe Biden has just said a ceasefire deal in the Gaza war has never been closer, but, quote, we're not there yet. Hamas, which is not directly represented in the talks, though, has accused the U.S. of creating, quote, a false atmosphere.
A prisoner serving a life sentence for the murder of a 1-year-old child and who escaped from a transport van has been captured. Orange County, North Carolina Sheriff Charles Blackwood says authorities also arrested a woman accused of helping him.
It's our understanding that the relationship began several months ago. I will tell you that that relationship was by phone, mostly, and it was developed after he became incarcerated.
30-year-old Ramon Alston was captured at a motel in Kannapolis, North Carolina. Hurricane Ernesto is heading toward Bermuda. CBS Philadelphia meteorologist Tammy Souza is following.
On the map, it is approaching Bermuda, and it should move in there by later tonight. So we are watching this very strong Category 2 storm as it moves northward right now.
There is the possibility of impact on the U.S. coastal states. This is CBS News.
Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. Get the parts and service you need fast from the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Where the big biggest stories are told. This is On the Record with Steve Scott on WCBS 880 News.
Good afternoon. Nice day in New York City. 85 degrees with hazy sun. That smoke from Canadian wildfires wafting into our area. Cloudy tonight, low 72 in the city, down to the 60s in many suburbs. And tomorrow, cloudy and humid with an afternoon shower in spots and a high in the low 80s. 85 now, 3:03 at WCBS. Good afternoon. I'm Steve Scott. Thank you for being with us today. In New Jersey, Governor Murphy says he will appoint his former chief of staff to fill the vacancy left by the resignation of Senator Bob Menendez. WCBS's Marla Diamond was at the announcement today in Newark.
You might not know his name, but George Helmy is not a newcomer to politics. He began his career with the late Senator Frank Lautenberg and went on to work with Senator Cory Booker.
In other words, George understands on a very fundamental level how a U.S. Senate office operates, and he will be ready to run this office from moment one.
Governor Murphy pointed out that Helmy, the son of Egyptian immigrants, will be the only Arab senator. Helmy called it an awesome responsibility, but insisted it is only temporary.
I have never, nor will I ever, seek elected office. As a matter of fact, as the governor alluded to, the idea of being called senator bothers me deeply.
The seat is up for grabs in November, and the governor vowed to appoint the winner immediately to go to Washington. In Newark, Marla Diamond, WCBS 880 News.
Two people have been hit by gunfire in the Bronx. One was the intended victim. The other was simply in the wrong place at the wrong time, but at least she lived to tell about it.
Clear surveillance video shows these two men fighting, wrestling on the ground in front of Billy's Deli about 1 in the morning here on Fordham Road. Suddenly, one then pulls a gun and fires several times. The 43-year-old man who was the other guy in the fight was shot in the back. This woman was walking down the block and was grazed by a bullet.
I don't know what happened. All I know is I was walking, I heard commotion, and next thing I know, I was shot.
Where?
In my leg.
What'd you do then?
People was helping me.
How about getting to the hospital? How'd you do that?
A random person took me to the hospital.
Now, the guy shot in the back is critical but stable at St. Barnabas as cops here in the 52nd Precinct try to track down the trigger man. From University Heights, the Bronx, Glenn Schuck, WCBS 880 News.
Now a couple of shooting stories that will leave you shaking your head. In Newark, a 3-year-old boy is in critical condition after he accidentally shot himself, 3 years old. Police say it happened just before 6 p.m. last night, Wainwright Street in Newark. The boy somehow got his hands on a gun and shot himself. We don't know how the toddler managed to find a gun. And this one, a woman is dead after a shooting in Teaneck, New Jersey, and now her twin brother is charged with murder. Naomi Hagley was 26, shot and killed yesterday inside a home on Hickory Street in Teaneck. Her twin brother, Jonathan Hagley, was arrested several blocks away. And in this case, we don't know exactly what led up to that shooting, one twin allegedly killing the other twin. A new juvenile human trafficking court on the island is the first in New York State. WCBS Long Island Bureau Chief Sophia Hall with the story.
Suffolk County Judge Andrew Krecka gives us the cruel and harsh reality of what has been happening here on Long Island. Children as young as 11 are becoming the victims of human trafficking.
Can be related to gang activity and things like that. It is a very difficult population to find, a population that obviously needs help.
Suffolk County has opened the state's first juvenile human trafficking court to provide resources for children, giving them the services they need.
This court only opened up in mid-June, and now we're talking about less than 2 months later, we've got more than 30 children who have been identified as either being trafficked or at risk of being trafficked. We're already getting them the help they need.
In Suffolk County, Sophia Hall, WCBS 880 News.
The electric bills will be going up again in Connecticut, where more than just the weather has everyone hot under the collar this summer. State lawmakers are under growing pressure to do something about it, as we hear from WCBS's Sean Adams in Greenwich.
Some Connecticut lawmakers say the way that electric rates are calculated is broken, and it must be fixed. State regulators just approved a small increase to pay for electric vehicle charging infrastructure. It comes on the heels of a much larger increase in July. Representative Steve Staffstrom says it's due to a 2017 deal to save the Millstone nuclear power plant.
That bailout is now coming back to cost Connecticut ratepayers.
And that is the single biggest driver of the most recent increases we've seen.
Folks are also paying for the future, renewable energy sources, and assistance for people who can't afford their bills. Lawmakers are looking for options. In Greenwich, Sean Adams, WCBS 880 News.
Steve writes in to us, most of South Florida is tuned in to WCBS today because most of South Florida is filled with New Yorkers. Steve, I like the way you think. Greg is listening in Woodland, Washington. Hello to Arlene in Arizona. And Ted called the newsroom from Strasburg, PA, to say that he's listening today. Thank you to all of you as you listen to us. My final day on WCBS as we head into our final week of 57 years of all news radio. 308 WCBS traffic and weather together on the 8s now. Andre Farrow.
A complete honor to be on the air with you today, Steve. If you're traveling westbound, we got a call from Linda. She was on the LIE over by exit 22A, which is right by the fairgrounds. So she saw a 3-car crash, and sure enough, the delays are out there heading westbound. Even eastbound is slow, approaching 108th Street. Big delays throughout Queens. It's been a tough go of it, especially the northbound Whitestone Expressway heading up towards the Whitestone Bridge, and across the span heading towards the Bronx is going to be just as busy. Coming back to Queens on the Whitestone is slow, and the Throgs Neck Bronx bound is moving okay, but Queens bound, again, very slow. You might want to just stick with that southbound Clearview because the Cross Island Parkway isn't budging at all. Inbound, as you travel at the George Washington Bridge, 45 minutes. The delays outbound go back to White Plains Road on the Cross Bronx. You're going to need about an hour from there. Southbound Egan has not been good coming down from Van Cortlandt Park. Delays are starting to inch into Westchester County now, passing McLean Avenue, and the southbound delays on the Henry Hudson Parkway are severe heading down towards Dykeman Street. Andre Farrow, WCBS Traffic Center.
Thank you, Andre. As we take a look this afternoon, a beautiful summer afternoon for us. Very warm, a bit more humid than we've been used to, but the high of 88. Turning out cloudy tonight. The low only down 72 in the city, 60s for many of the suburbs. Not as warm, but more humid. Saturday, more clouds than sun. We'll have an afternoon shower in spots, especially west of the city. The high of 82. Showers become more numerous Saturday night and during the day Sunday. Sunday, it'll be mostly cloudy, breezy, humid with occasional rain and a thunderstorm. Any storm can bring along with it a flooding downpour, the high of 80. Monday, humid, clouds limiting sunshine. Again, some showers and thunderstorms continue, but mainly in the afternoon, the high of 81. Right now, Plainview at 81, Islip at 80. It's 85 in the city. And, Steve, it's an honor to be on your last show here and just a very, very small part of this amazing historic station.
Jason Caterina in the Weather Center. Jason, thank you so much. We do appreciate it. Hey, a couple of radio greats are listening. Radio Hall of Famer Jim Kerr, Q104.3. Jim, thanks for listening. The great Race Taylor, CBS FM, is listening in this afternoon. We appreciate everybody. Julie in Salt Lake City, listening online. I don't think our 50,000 watts are reaching Salt Lake City today. Listening online. Thank you all for listening to WCBS. It is 3:11.
Did your mobile provider just increase their prices again? Switch to Spectrum Mobile, the nation's fastest growing mobile provider. With Spectrum Mobile, you get unlimited talk, text, and data, plus nationwide 5G. Switching to Spectrum Mobile has never been easier. We'll pay off your phone balance up to $2,500. Stop dealing with price hikes from your cell phone company. Get Spectrum Mobile. Visit spectrum.com/itpays-to-switch for full details. Offer subject to change. Service not available in all areas. Restrictions apply.
At Miller Mott College, you can build the skills to prepare for new careers in 18 months or less. Visit us in person at 3901 Capitol Boulevard in Raleigh, North Carolina, or online at miller-mott.edu. That's miller-motte.edu.
O'Reilly! Check engine light on? Take the guesswork out of your check engine light with O'Reilly Veriscan. It's free and provides a report with solutions based on over 650 million vehicle scans verified by ASE-certified master technicians. And if you need help, we can recommend a shop for you. Ask for O'Reilly Veriscan today.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Small business owners, Spectrum Business knows you do it all. Make sales, track inventory, and keep your customers happy. Keep it all going with Spectrum One for Business. For just $49.99 a month, get fast, reliable internet, advanced Wi-Fi with Security Shield, and a free mobile line for 1 year. Visit spectrum.com/business to get internet, advanced Wi-Fi, and a free mobile line for a year for $49.99 a month. Visit spectrum.com/business today. Restrictions apply. Services not available in all areas.
Downy Rinse and Refresh. Break up with stinky clothes.
Rinse it out.
Every now and then I get a little bit tired of the stinks that just will never come out.
Pour Downy in the rinse change.
Every now and then I rinse it out. One wash and it delivers. One wash, it smells so clean. Downy Rinse and Refresh, it's a dream.
Downy Rinse and Refresh removes 100% of odor in just one wash. Guaranteed.
I want that. The Make It Ford summer sales event is on. So make it your best summer ever with Ford. Now's the best time to get our best deals on a great selection of Ford trucks and SUVs, like the Ford Explorer, the Ford Bronco family, Ford F-Series, and the all-electric F-150 Lightning. These are the deals you've been waiting for, so don't wait. It's the Make It Ford summer sales event. So make it yours. Make it now at your Ford dealer today.
Fantasy freaks and geeks, what's cracking? It's your boy James Coe back with my brand new project, the Sleeper King Football Podcast. Look, I get it, okay? There's a lot of fantasy pods out there, but we're going to keep this one light, 15 to 20 minutes, 4 to 5 times a week, and man, we are going to pack it with all the info you need. Season-long, weekly projections, and of course, sleepers. Follow and listen to the Sleeper King Football Podcast on the free Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcasts.
3:14 at WCBS. Summer vacations are over. The kids are heading back to school. And it's not just the humans who may be stressing out over this. Pets can also have a hard time transitioning from the carefree summer schedule to spending more time home alone when parents or kids are at work or at school. Dr. Carly Fox is a senior veterinarian at Schwarzman Animal Medical Center here in the city. She joins us on the record on WCBS. Dr. Fox, it is good to talk with you. So this really affects animals. They notice being left home alone when the kids are back at school?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it obviously depends on the animal, but I think a lot of them really do notice the change in routine. You know, I think animals, just like kids, are very used to a routine and thrive in a routine. And when that routine changes, they can definitely have some adjustment issues. So there is some things that you can do to hopefully make this transition back to school easier for you and also easier for your pets.
Maybe dogs. I've known some cats that I swear use their claws to mark off the calendar until the start of school so they could have the house all to themselves.
That's definitely true. Cats definitely more so than dogs in that way.
What signs should pet owners be looking for if their dog is starting to get anxious about being home alone all day?
Yeah, so definitely you should look for signs of separation anxiety in your pets. And this can sort of manifest in different ways in different animals, but signs can include excessive barking. If you have neighbors that tell you that your dog has just been barking all day, and that's not usually something that they do, urinating or defecating indoors, that's definitely more of a cat thing. Sometimes cats will You can tell they're anxious or angry if they have urinary accidents, intentional urinary accidents in the home. Some animals will have some destructive behavior like chewing or biting or destroying furniture. You know, just also looking at them and just a change in their normal appearance. So some animals will tremble, they'll drool, they'll, attempt to escape when you're opening the door. They'll want to come. In cats, more so, they'll hide as a sign of anxiety. So, I think it really depends on the animal, but any real change in their behavior, any real destruction is something to note.
I wonder, here we are in mid-August. The kids are heading back to school. Many are already back. Summer vacations are over. Animals are left home alone. Are you encountering a lot of dogs this time of year that are being treated for anxiety?
Yeah, I mean, dogs are being treated for anxiety a lot, just like people are. And I think we're just more attuned to it in society now about dogs and their anxiety, especially after COVID, since that was a huge change similar to this. So people were very much home and attending to their pets. And then as the world started opening up, they went back to work, everyone went back to school, and people noticed that there was a real behavioral change in their animals. And that's something like that could definitely be very similar when we go back to school, the same concept. I see dogs with anxiety, even cats with anxiety all the time. And it's something that we look out for and talk to owners about really on a daily basis.
I wonder, does it help? I've heard of pet owners who will literally set up some sort of device where they can speak to their animals throughout the day. Does it help to do something like that where the dog or cat can actually hear the human's voice?
Yeah, sometimes. Again, it really depends on the animal, but some animals love that and they love hearing your voice and they feel reassured. Also, there are devices that allow you to interact with your pet more than just voice. So like giving them a treat, there's an actual device that you can dispense a treat throughout the day just to let them know that you're thinking about them and to, give them something to look forward to. So it really depends on the animal. Some animals may be a little, freaked out by that, but most of them, I think, actually really enjoy it.
Fascinating. Dr. Carly Fox at Schwarzman Animal Medical Center here in the city. Dr. Fox, thank you for coming on. We appreciate it.
Oh, my God. My pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
3:18 at WCBS. Traffic and weather together on the 8s now, sponsored by Eisner Amper Andre Ferro.
We have some trouble, Steve. On 10th Avenue, we have a crash investigation northbound between West 15th Street and West 16th Street. All lanes are closed until further notice. Again, this is on 10th Avenue, northbound between 15th and 16th. All lanes closed. There's police activity in the area, so please heed as you make your way through that area. Now, if you're using the Whitestone Bridge, we have trouble on the Whitestone heading back to the Bronx. It looks like there's a disabled vehicle. There's some police activity. Huge delays now passing Citi Field and heading up towards the Whitestone Bridge mid-span. Coming back into Queens with the Whitestone is very slow as well. The Throgs Neck would do you better, but if you're going to use a Throgs Neck, just be prepared. Both the southbound Clearview and the southbound Cross Island Parkway are terrible. Inbound George Washington Bridge, still a 40-minute delay. Outbound delays that go back to the Bronx River Parkway and to White Plains Road. The Bruckner is heavy on both sides approaching the Hunts Point Drawbridge. 25 minutes out of the Holland and Lincoln. Andre Ferro, WCBS Traffic Center.
A beautiful late summer afternoon in progress for us on this Friday afternoon. Hazy sun, a few clouds, very warm and a bit more humid than we've been used to, with the high of 88. Tonight, it'll turn out cloudy and warm in the city, the low 72, but 60s for many of the suburbs. Now, Saturday won't be as warm, but it'll be more humid, and we'll have more clouds than sun, with an afternoon shower in spots, especially west of the city, the high of 82. Showers become more numerous at night and continue during the day Sunday. It'll be mostly cloudy, breezy, and humid, with occasional rain and a thunderstorm Sunday. Any storm can bring a flooding downpour with it, the high of 80. Now Monday, more humid and a mix of clouds with limited sunshine. Again, showers and thunderstorms continue, but mainly in the afternoon, the high of 81. A lingering shower Tuesday, otherwise brightening skies and lowering humidity, the high 74.
Meteorologist Jason Catarina. Now hazy sunshine, 85 degrees in New York, 3:20 at WCBS.
Did your mobile provider just increase their prices again? Switch to Spectrum Mobile, the nation's fastest growing mobile provider. With Spectrum Mobile, you get unlimited talk, text, and data, plus nationwide 5G. Switching to Spectrum Mobile has never been easier. We'll pay off your phone balance up to $2,500. Stop dealing with price hikes from your cell phone company. Get Spectrum Mobile. Visit spectrum.com/it-pays-to-switch for full details. Offer subject to change. Service not available in all areas. Restrictions apply.
At Miller Mott College, you can build the skills to prepare for new careers in 18 months or less. Visit us in person at 3901 Capitol Boulevard in Raleigh, North Carolina, or online at miller-mott.edu. That's miller-motte.edu.
Get 5 quarts of O'Reilly Full Synthetic Motor Oil and a MicroGuard oil filter for $29.99. In-store only. Limit supply.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Get your laugh on with me, Chris Jericho, and the Talk is Jericho podcast. We've got Guns N' Roses Hall of Famer Duff McKagan and his joke of the week every Friday, plus regular visits from the hilarious Brad Williams and special appearances by everyone from Gabriel Fluffy Iglesias, Mark Maron, Dennis Miller, Cheech Marin, Kevin Nealon. If they're funny, they're on Talk is Jericho. So listen to and follow Talk is Jericho now on the free Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcasts.
WCBS News Time, 3:22. Multiple reports say Rutgers University athletic director Pat Hobbs has quit after 9 years on the job. Hobbs is being replaced on an interim basis by Deputy Athletic Director Ryan Pisari, a former 3-sport star at Ramapo High School. The change comes right on the eve of football season. National prognosticators and analysts say they expect the Scarlet Knights to make an impact this year. This Monday, the U.S. Tennis Association will be kicking off U.S. Open Fan Week at the Billie Jean King National Tennis Center in Flushing Meadows, 1 week before the start of the Open. The MTA announced today they'll be adding 5 additional daily trains on the 7 line, and 3 LIRR trains will add stops at Metz Willett Point. Fan Week will feature a concert by country artist Dierks Bentley with special guest Chase Rice. The U.S. Open itself runs from Monday, August 26th through September 8th. 2 of the 5 people charged in the ketamine overdose death of Friend star Matthew Perry have pleaded not guilty. More on that now from CBS News correspondent Adam Yamaguchi.
In their first court appearance, lead defendants Jasmine Sanga, known as the Ketamine Queen, and Salvador Plasencia, referred to as Dr. P, pleaded not guilty to criminal charges in connection with Matthew Perry's ketamine overdose last year.
These defendants took advantage to profit for themselves.
Federal investigators say in total 5 people, including 2 medical doctors, Sangha, the alleged drug supplier, Perry's live-in assistant, and an acquaintance of Perry, are charged with causing his overdose death.
Matthew Perry had long struggled with substance abuse and originally received ketamine infusions to treat depression. Ketamine is a legal medication commonly used as an anesthetic, and it has recently been used as both a clinical treatment for depression and as a party drug. Well, he had only recently stopped touring. AP correspondent Ed Donahue now with more on the death of great whites, Jack Russell.
The author of his autobiography says the lead singer of the band Great White, Jack Russell, has died. He was 63. Great White was a metal band in the 80s. Hits included Once Bitten, Twice Shy and Rock Me. Jack Russell was fronting Great White on a night in 2003 when the band's pyrotechnics sparked a fast-moving fire that killed 100 people at a nightclub in Rhode Island. Paul Rowe's daughter was among those killed.
The nightmare that occurred on February the 20th, 2003 will remain a dark cloud over all of us for the rest of our lives.
Guitarist Ty Longleat was among those killed. Jack Russell and the band did not face any criminal charges. Russell said in 2010 it was a horrible tragedy. Great White held benefit concerts after the fire to raise money for those who were impacted. I'm Ed Donahue.
Now 3:25 at WCBS as we check money news. Live to the CBiz Marks Paneth Business Desk, here is Bloomberg's Erica Herskowitz.
Well, Steve, new home construction surprised analysts and fell last month to the lowest level since the aftermath of the pandemic. Housing starts down 6.8% with a big drop in single-family units. Despite the disappointing snapshot on housing, overall consumer sentiment is improving. The University of Michigan Sentiment Index rose early this month for the first time in 5 months. Confidence rebounded among Democrats after Vice President Kamala Harris stepped in as the new party nominee. Shares of Emergent Biosolutions, whose smallpox vaccine is currently under FDA review for prevention of the fast-spreading Mpox virus, are up more than 20% today. Emergent stock has jumped more than 50% over the past 3 trading days after the World Health Organization declared the Mpox outbreak in Africa a global health emergency Wednesday. Stocks are higher right now on Wall Street. The Dow is up 114 points, the Nasdaq up 38, the S&P up 11. With money news at 25 and 55 on WCBS, I'm Bloomberg's Erica Herskowitz.
Erica, thank you. CBiz Marks Paneth, the New York area's premier accounting, tax, and advisory firm.
Small business owners. Spectrum Business knows you do it all. Make sales, track inventory, and keep your customers happy. Keep it all going with Spectrum One for Business. For just $49.99 a month, get fast, reliable internet, advanced Wi-Fi with Security Shield, and a free mobile line for 1 year. Visit spectrum.com/business to get internet, advanced Wi-Fi, and a free mobile line for a year for $49.99 a month. Visit spectrum.com/business today. Restrictions apply. Services not available in all areas.
I want that. The Make It Ford Summer Sales Event is on. So make it your best summer ever with Ford. Now's the best time to get our best deals on a great selection of Ford trucks and SUVs, like the Ford Explorer, the Ford Bronco family, Ford F-Series, and the all-electric F-150 Lightning. These are the deals you've been waiting for, so don't wait. It's the Make It Ford Summer Sales Event. So make it yours. Make it now at your Ford dealer today.
At Miller Mott College, you can build the skills to prepare for new careers in 18 months or less. Visit us in person at 3901 Capitol Boulevard in Raleigh, North Carolina, or online at miller-mott.edu. That's miller-motte.edu.
Oh, oh, oh.
Extend the life of your engine with a full synthetic oil change and save at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Right now, pick up 5 quarts of O'Reilly full synthetic motor oil and a MicroGuard oil filter for $29.99. Or upgrade to a MicroGuard Select filter for just $2 more. Limit supply. Offer in-store only at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
WCBS News Time, 3:28. Traffic and weather together on the 8s. Here is Andre Farrow.
And let's go to Tarrytown. If you are traveling on the thruway, this is in the northbound direction, right by exit 9. So Tarrytown, Route 9. In Tarrytown, we have a crash knocking out a lane. So if you're heading across the span of the Mario Cuomo Tappan Zee Bridge, it's going to be a busy ride heading past the Palisades Mall and heading up towards the Palisades Parkway. Big delays in Connecticut continue. Exit 2, Delavon Avenue, heading all the way up to Norwalk. It's bumper to bumper the entire stretch, passing Darien and exit 10, and then more trouble on the northbound Merritt Parkway right around Round Hill Road. You start tapping the brakes in the Greenwich area heading up towards Stamford and all the way up to Route 7 again through New Canaan. Is going to be a very busy ride. Nassau County's checking in very slow now on the eastbound Southern State Parkway where we had an earlier crash right around exit 15. Looks like the crash is more over to the shoulder now, but we are dealing with residual delays. Plus we have more delays if you're going to continue eastbound between the Meadowbrook and Wantagh. The westbound delays are starting to kick in now as well as you pass the Meadowbrook Parkway. We have some trouble on the eastbound Northern State Parkway right around New High Park Road. Looks to be some type of disabled vehicle there. Delays that go all the way back to the Queens border. The LIE is actually not moving too bad in Nassau County. It gets slow once you get to Glen Cove Road and exit 39. You'll want to avoid the Whitestone Bridge at all costs. Not only Bronx bound, but Queens bound as well. It's just terrible. The Throgs Neck will do you way better. But the only problem with the Throgs Neck, you're going to have to pick your poison with the southbound Cross Island or the southbound Clearview. Look out for big delays on the Triborough Bridge now as well, especially the Manhattan span heading towards the Harlem River Drive. 45 minutes in at the George Washington Bridge. Andre Farrow, WCBS Traffic Center.
Thanks, Andre. Hazy sun, a few clouds, very warm and a bit more humid than we've been used to for the rest of this afternoon. The high of 88, turning out cloudy tonight, the low 72 in the city, 60s for many suburbs, so not as warm but more humid Saturday with more clouds than sun. We'll have an afternoon shower in spots, especially west of the city, the high of 82. The showers will become more numerous at night and during the day Sunday when we have mostly cloudy skies. It'll be breezy and humid Sunday with occasional rain and a thunderstorm. Any storm can bring a flooding downpour along with it. The high of 80 degrees. Right now, Scarsdale 81, Ardsley 82, and it's 85 in the city.
Your radio home for Mets baseball.
Put it in the books!
This is WCBS 880 News.
Kamala Harris unveils her economic proposals, including a ban on grocery price gouging in North Carolina. Governor Murphy appoints his longtime chief of staff to fill Bob Menendez's Senate seat until the November election is certified. The NYPD searches for the suspect who shot 2 people, including an innocent bystander, in the Bronx. A new study shows that moving city elections from odd-numbered years to even-numbered years could save the taxpayers millions. Talks aimed at reaching a ceasefire in Gaza may be making some progress. Hazy sunshine, 85 degrees in New York. It is Friday, August 16th. Good afternoon. I'm Steve Scott. This is the final On the Record. WCBS News Time, 3:31.
CBS News Brief. Vice President Harris is in Raleigh, North Carolina, where she delivered her first major economic speech since becoming the presumptive Democratic presidential nominee.
We should be doing everything we can to make it more affordable to buy a home, not less.
Republican vice presidential nominee J.D. Vance is taking aim at Harris's record on fighting crime.
So Kamala Harris is on a tour where she's trying to redefine her record as a tough-on-crime prosecutor. And yet, if you look at Kamala Harris's record as a prosecutor, it is the opposite of tough on crime.
Vance spoke in Milwaukee. An escaped prisoner serving a life sentence for the murder of a 1-year-old has been recaptured at a motel in Kannapolis, North Carolina. Bob DeWitt is the FBI special agent in charge.
Just grateful for the resolution to this, the fact that it was ended safely for everybody involved.
Authorities arrested 30-year-old Ramon Alston and a woman accused of helping him. CBS News Brief.
She's Linda Kenyon. 3:32 at WCBS. Now to New Jersey, where Governor Murphy says he'll appoint his former chief of staff, George Helmy, to fill the vacancy left by the resignation of Senator Bob Menendez. Murphy says Helmy will serve until the winner of the general election is certified in late November, at which time Helmy will resign and the governor will appoint the winner to that Senate seat. Senator Bob Menendez will resign next week on August 20th after being convicted on federal corruption charges. Menendez has also just announced this afternoon that he's officially withdrawn his name from the November ballot as an independent candidate. 2 people have been hit by gunfire in the Bronx. One of them very lucky to be alive, as we hear from reporter Glenn Schuck in University Heights.
The surveillance video is pretty clear. It shows the 2 men involved in this fighting, wrestling along the sidewalk in front of Billy's Deli about 1:30 in the morning here on West Fordham Road. Suddenly, one of them pulls out a gun and fires a couple of times. The 43-year-old man in that fight shot in the back. This 37-year-old woman who was walking down the block, maybe 100 feet away, in fact, grazed by a bullet.
I don't know what happened. All I know is I was walking, I heard commotion, and next thing I know, I was shot. Where? In my leg.
What'd you do then?
People was helping me.
How about getting to the hospital? How'd you do that?
A random person took me to the hospital.
As police here trying to track down the trigger man, the man who was shot in the back is critical but stable now at St. Barnabas. From University Heights, the Bronx, Glenn Schuck, WCBS 880 News.
In Connecticut, lawmakers are trying to figure out how to handle the issue of rising electric bills. Let's go to Greenwich. WCBS reporter Sean Adams.
Connecticut electric bills keep going up. Lawmakers say something has to change. State regulators just approved a relatively small increase, $3 to $4 per month to pay for electric vehicle charging stations. Representative Steve Staffstrom.
That is a very, very, very tiny piece of the public benefit charge. The large increase we saw these last couple weeks is driven almost entirely by the Millstone bailout.
He's referring to a 2017 deal to save the Millstone nuclear power plant. Some Democrats want to spread out that increase over 2 years instead of 10 months. Democrats will caucus Sunday. Republicans want a special session. In Greenwich, Sean Adams, WCBS 880 News.
Shifting local elections in New York City from odd-numbered years to even-numbered years would save taxpayers around $42 million every other year. Politico New York says that number comes from an analysis by the Independent Budget Office. The Board of Elections spends about $200 million per election. Now, most of the money saved would be through the cost of printing, promotional materials, and paying election judges. Republicans don't like this idea. Democratic voters outnumber Republicans in New York State by around 2-1, and they typically vote in higher numbers in those even-numbered years. The change would require a constitutional amendment. Billboards urging people to vote no on the proposed Equal Rights Amendment will be popping up across the state ahead of the November 5th election. Critics claim the proposed ERA would allow transgender athletes to compete against women in sports. The billboards will have various messages ranging from vote no on Prop 1 on November 5th to vote no to erasing women. Backers of the proposed amendment, including Governor Kathy Hochul, deny allegations by supporters that it would strip parents of their rights to raise their kids the way they see fit. 3:36 at WCBS, a U.S. official says mediators are preparing to implement a Gaza ceasefire and hostage swap deal even before a final agreement is reached. The official spoke to reporters on the condition of anonymity, saying the proposal currently on the table basically bridges all the gaps between Israel and Hamas. Meanwhile, the Doha talks are done for the day. Here's BBC correspondent Jenny Hill in Tel Aviv.
The statement is extremely positive. They say the talks were serious, constructive and conducted in a positive atmosphere. They say that points of agreement were achieved over the last week. Gaps have closed between the parties, and that technical teams will keep working on the proposals, which are loosely based on what Joe Biden had put forward as a deal back in May.
Middle East expert Nomi Bar-Yaakov says she's cautiously optimistic.
It is very much my hope and the hope of the mediators and the parties that a framework will be agreed, and thereby the implementation will be what is going to need further discussion beyond today.
Meanwhile, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and other world leaders are condemning the attack on the Palestinian town of Jit in the occupied West Bank by at least 70 armed Israeli settlers. BBC correspondent Yolanda Nell in Jerusalem.
We had the White House coming out quickly to condemn what has happened, saying that such violence against Palestinian civilians was unacceptable and must stop. And there have been lots of complaints from the international community, from Israeli NGOs as well. There is a sense of impunity when it comes to a lot of these attacks. You do not see prosecutions by the Israeli authorities.
At least one Palestinian man was killed in the attack. Hurricane Ernesto will have a major impact on Bermuda.
Ernesto is causing rip currents along the East Coast, even as it's nearing Bermuda. Conditions go downhill today on the island, with the worst weather happening on Saturday. That's when we expect hurricane-force winds, surge, coastal flooding, destructive waves, and up to 15 inches of flooding rain.
Weather Channel meteorologist Stephanie Abrams. For the local angle on Ernesto, we turn to reporter Carol Dioria.
While the hurricane is passing well off to the east of us, we will feel the effects. There is a high rip current risk until Saturday night at 9 p.m. Julissa was sunning herself in Rockaway Beach, and she said no thanks to going into the water. She's never been caught in a rip tide, but her mother has.
She actually, she went under, and the paramedics had to come and save her. We wound up in the local hospital. She hurt both her knees. Wow. So the waves are pretty bad here.
Signs at the beach say if you get caught in a rip current, don't fight it. Swim parallel to the shore. And if you can't escape it, just float or tread water. In Rockaway Beach, Carol Dioria, WCBS 880 News.
3:38, let's check WCBS traffic and weather together on the 8s. Where shall we begin this time, Andre Farrell?
Yeah, we're going to start at the George Washington Bridge, where we have big delays, at least a 40-minute delay inbound. Eastbound 46 is slow. Southbound Palisades heading down to the George is seeing big delays. Look out for slowdowns on the western spur and the eastern spur passing Route 3, whether you're traveling on the southbound side in front of MetLife Stadium or the southbound side over by Secaucus and passing Route 3 and 495. It's going to be busy, and heading up towards the Vince Lombardi, if you're heading northbound, is going to be a stop-and-go situation. At least a 35-minute delay at the outbound Lincoln and Holland. The West Side Highway is building from the 79th Street area up to the George Washington Bridge. Huge delays across the Whitestone Bridge in both directions. There's a mid-span disabled vehicle. There's police activity heading towards the Bronx, so you have delays that go all the way back to City Field. Bumper-to-bumper action passing Linden Place, so you have to go with the service road. You'll save some time. But if you're going to use the Throgsneck Queensbound, look out for big delays on the southbound Clearview heading down towards Northern Boulevard, and the southbound Cross Island Parkway all the way down to the Hillside Avenue area is going to be bumper to bumper. Andre Farrow, WCBS Traffic Center.
For the rest of the afternoon, hazy sun and a few clouds. It'll be very warm, a bit more humid than we've been used to, the high of 88. Turning out cloudy tonight. It'll be warm in the city with the low of 72, but 60s for many of the suburbs. Saturday, not as warm, but more humid with more clouds than sun. There'll be an afternoon shower in spots, especially west of the city, the high of 82. Showers will become more numerous at night and during the day Sunday. Mostly cloudy, breezy, and humid with occasional rain and a thunderstorm Sunday. Any storm can bring a flooding downpour, the high of 80.
Jason Caterina in the Weather Center. Hazy sunshine, 85 degrees now in New York, 340 at WCBS.
Your award-winning source for news, traffic, weather, and Mets baseball. This is WCBS 880 News.
Did your mobile provider just increase their prices again? Switch to Spectrum Mobile, the nation's fastest growing mobile provider. With Spectrum Mobile, you get unlimited talk, text, and data, plus nationwide 5G. Switching to Spectrum Mobile has never been easier. We'll pay off your phone balance up to $2,500. Stop dealing with price hikes from your cell phone company. Get Spectrum Mobile. Visit spectrum.com/itpays-to-switch for full details. Offer subject to change. Service not available in all areas. Restrictions apply.
I want that. The Make It Ford summer sales event is on. So make it your best summer ever with Ford. Now's the best time to get our best deals on a great selection of Ford trucks and SUVs, like the Ford Explorer, the Ford Bronco family, Ford F-Series, and the all-electric F-150 Lightning. These are the deals you've been waiting for, so don't wait. It's the Make It Ford summer sales event. So make it yours. Make it now at your Ford dealer today.
At Miller Mott College, you can build the skills to prepare for new careers in 18 months or less. Visit us in person at 3901 Capitol Boulevard in Raleigh, North Carolina, or online at miller-mott.edu. That's miller-motte.edu.
Need parts fast? O'Reilly Auto Parts has fast. Need them now? We've got now. No matter what you need, we have thousands of professional parts people doing their part to make sure you have it. We're O'Reilly Fast. Just one part that makes O'Reilly stand apart. The professional parts people.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Get your laugh on with me, Chris Jericho, and the Talk is Jericho podcast. We've got Guns N' Roses Hall of Famer Duff McKagan and his joke of the week every Friday, plus regular visits from the hilarious Brad Williams and special appearances by everyone from Gabriel Fluffy Iglesias, Mark Maron, Dennis Miller, Cheech Marin, Kevin Nealon. If they're funny, they're on Talk is Jericho. So listen to and follow Talk is Jericho now on the free Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcasts.
Friday afternoon, WCBS News Time, 3:43. If you live in New Jersey and come into the city, or vice versa, chances are you have ridden a PATH train. When there are service changes or some other issue that riders need to know about, it is Rebecca Reel's job to let them know. Rebecca Reel is head of PATH's customer service, and she joins us on the record on WCBS. Rebecca, welcome. It's good to talk with you. Now, you have the unenviable job of having to deliver bad news, delays, suspensions, and the like. That can't be much fun.
Thanks. Good afternoon, and thank you for having me. I actually enjoy my work in customer experience. Being able to work with customers, it's about being able to tell them and help them get from A to B. And instead of delivering them bad news, I like to think about it as telling them all the information they need to be able to get to their traveling destination. So sometimes that does involve having to tweak their travel patterns, but we like to give them all the options in as much advance notice as possible.
What is the toughest part of your job?
I think it's making sure that we get the word out to our customers, again, in that timely manner, and making sure that they know what our weekend service changes are going to be. Right now, we are in the middle of a $430 million investment program into PATH infrastructure. And that's creating a lot of weekend service changes over the next few years. And my job is to make sure that we get the word out to our riders so that when they do want to come ride PATH on the weekends, they know how to navigate the system. Sometimes that does mean we have bus service instead of rail on parts of the railroad. Other times it might mean having to take a different travel pattern around our system. And weekend riders in particular, if you're not riding during the week or if you're traveling from outside of our area, those riders, we really are challenged to try to get the word out.
You know, I've known people who work in customer service, and unfortunately, feedback is probably pretty one-sided. I mean, people don't call or email and say, "Hey, Rebecca, great news. My train ride was perfect today. Thanks."
Yes, that's true. But we do, you'd be surprised. We're always happy to get good feedback. It does exist, but to your point, it is a lot rarer. But for us, it's important to hear both the good and the bad, because at PATH, our customers are truly our number one priority, and we want to make sure that we're getting information that's accurately reflecting what they experience as they ride our system. So we don't shy away from either good or bad feedback. We really want it, and we pay very careful attention to it. We comb through all of our customer data that we get across many platforms. We have an extensive field presence, especially during our planned service changes, to make sure that boots on the ground and eyes and ears out in the field, we're able to channel what the customer is experiencing, and we're committed to making tweaks as we go forward. So we really embrace our customer feedback, and we acknowledge, even if it's not the best, and they're telling us that they are having challenges, and we're doing everything we can to constantly try to mitigate and address those points when we're able to.
PATH is, 116 years old, I think? Overall, yes. What kind of shape is the system in?
Our system's safe. You know, we are smaller, but we're mighty. We have 13 stations. And so this major investment into our infrastructure is really just going to make sure that even as a 116-year-old railroad, we're able to deliver smoother, more reliable service for our customers.
Well, as one who rode from Newport to Christopher Street and back and forth for, 16, 17 years before I moved into the city itself, Rebecca Reel at PATH, it's great talking with you today. Thank you for coming on. We appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Now 3:46 at WCBS. Ford is recalling 85,000 police vehicles because of a potential fire risk.
There have been 13 fires reported in the 2020 through 23 Ford Explorer police interceptors, but no injuries. The vehicles are at risk of engine failure that can release fuel into the hot engine compartment. Ford is still finalizing a fix, which will involve inspections and software updates.
That's WWJ Radio Auto Beat reporter Jeff Gilbert in Detroit. Stumpy the tree may be gone, but its clones may live on.
Amongst the famed cherry trees in Washington, D.C., was a stunted and gnarled little tree named Stumpy. During the pandemic, Stumpy became a social media star, spawning T-shirts, a calendar, and a fan base. News that 2024 was Stumpy's final spring prompted people to leave flowers and bourbon, and had one Reddit user threatening to chain themselves to the trunk to save Stumpy. Stumpy was cut down after the Cherry Blossom Festival along with more than 100 other trees to make way for a massive repair project on the crumbling seawall protecting the tidal basin. But fear not, workers at the National Arboretum collected clippings from Stumpy, and now there are little stumplings. The hope is that the little stumplings can carry on the family fame and be replanted around the basin in the next few years. I'm Lisa Dwyer.
Why do I see a children's book called The Little Stumplings coming soon? 348 WCBS traffic and weather together on the 8s. Andre Farrow.
And we have big delays on the westbound Staten Island Expressway, so big that they're actually causing delays across the span of the Verrazano heading towards Staten Island. So from the Brooklyn side all the way to Victory Boulevard, you are going to be sitting in some big delays. Now, if you're leaving JFK Airport, look out for slowdowns leaving the airport and heading northbound on the Van Wyck. You do have the redevelopment going on, so extra time always needed to go to JFK these days. If you're traveling on the westbound side of the belt from Flatbush Avenue to Cross Bay Boulevard, or eastbound, I should say, Flatbush to Cross Bay. Westbound, you're going to be slow from Flatbush all the way to the Verrazano. You're dealing with delays now in Nassau County. The big three checking in slow. Eastbound LIE, right around Glen Cove Road, you start tapping the brakes. Over by Little Neck Parkway, it's busy as well. And passing the North Shore Towers on the eastbound Northern State, heading towards New Hyde Park Road, is seeing a lot of action all the way back to Alley Pond Park and almost back to Jewel Avenue, really, on that eastbound Grand Central Parkway. Ridiculous Friday delays. Now, if you're traveling on the eastbound Southern State Parkway from Eagle Avenue to the Meadowbrook, that's going to be stop and go. Andre Farrow, WCBS Traffic Center.
Thank you, Andre. The rest of the afternoon, beautiful weather for us. Very warm, a bit more humid than we've been used to. The high of 88. Turning out cloudy tonight. The low 72 in the city. 60s, though, for many of the suburbs. Not as warm Saturday, but more humid. We'll have more clouds and sun, too. An afternoon shower in spots, especially west of the city. The high of 82. Showers become more numerous at night and during the day on Sunday as well, when it'll be mostly cloudy, breezy, and humid with occasional rain and a thunderstorm. Any storm can bring along a flooding downpour with it, the high of 80. Monday, humid with clouds, limiting sunshine. We'll have more showers and thunderstorms, mainly in the afternoon, the high of 81. Maybe a lingering shower on Tuesday, otherwise brightening skies, lowering humidity, and gorgeous temperatures, the high of 74. Right now, it is 82 in Jamaica, 81 in Shirley, and it's 85 in the city.
And it's 3:50 at WCBS. Meteorologist Jason Caterina, thank you.
Spectrum Internet has enough speed to handle all your needs, so you can work, game, and stream with speeds up to a gig. Plus, Spectrum's advanced Wi-Fi provides enhanced security for all your connected devices. Get Spectrum Internet with fast and reliable speeds, starting at just $29.99 a month with a 2-year price guarantee. Visit spectrum.com/internet for you for full details. Offer subject to change, valid for qualified residential customers only. Restrictions apply.
At Miller Mott College, you can build the skills to prepare for new careers in 18 months or less. Visit us in person at 3901 Capitol Boulevard in Raleigh, North Carolina, or online at miller-mott.edu. That's miller-motte.edu.
1 in 4 car batteries is weak and needs to be replaced. Let our professional parts people test your battery for free at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Baseball is in full swing. NBA playoffs are heating up, and your NFL team is gearing up for training camp. Listen to the latest on the teams you love here on the Odyssey app. The biggest sports radio stations in the country, providing unrivaled local coverage of their teams, all in one place. Exclusive interviews with players, coaches, and team executives, streaming live and always available on demand. Stay in the know with your favorite teams right here on the Odyssey app.
I want that. The Make It Ford Summer Sales Event is on. So make it your best summer ever with Ford. Now's the best time to get our best deals on a great selection of Ford trucks and SUVs, like the Ford Explorer, the Ford Bronco family, Ford F-Series, and the all-electric F-150 Lightning. These are the deals you've been waiting for, so don't wait. It's the Make It Ford Summer Sales Event. So make it yours. Make it now at your Ford dealer today.
Small business owners. Spectrum Business knows you do it all. Make sales, track inventory, and keep your customers happy. Keep it all going with Spectrum One for Business. For just $49.99 a month, get fast, reliable internet, advanced Wi-Fi with Security Shield, and a free mobile line for 1 year. Visit spectrum.com/business to get internet, advanced Wi-Fi, and a free mobile line for a year for $49.99 a month. Visit spectrum.com/business today. Restrictions apply. Services not available in all areas.
Our lives aren't like they used to be. They're busier. Early morning Zooms, grabbing coffee to make that in-office meeting, getting to your kid's soccer game on time. Life is different, and so is advertising. To reach any audience, you need your message out there in all media, broadcast to streaming, on screens, and right to the ears of your customers. And that's what we do at Odyssey. Let's build a media campaign that targets the customers you know and want to reach more of, right here in our community. Advertise with Odyssey. Visit ads.odyssey.com.
WCBS News Time 3:53. A final answer for an American gymnast. More from CBS News correspondent Vicky Barker at the Foreign Desk in London.
Romanian gymnast Ana Barbosu receiving the Olympic bronze medal that had gone to Jordan Chiles. Local media in Bucharest say Barbosu then said Chiles and Barbosu's teammate, who was also bumped down a place, were in her thoughts at this emotional moment. Team USA has said it will continue to fight to restore the bronze to Chiles, but the Court of Arbitration for Sport has said its ruling is final. Vicky Barker, CBS News, London.
Netflix is looking for New Jersey locals to play extras in the upcoming Happy Gilmore sequel.
Don't worry about it. You're still in good shape. All you got to do is just tap it in. Just tap it in now. Hey, just tap it in. Just tap it in.
Of course, the movie stars Adam Sandler. It's set to film scenes starting next month until November in Bergen, Essex, Monmouth, Morris, and Somerset counties. The casting call says no experience is required. Actors in the SAG-AFTRA union will make $216 a day for an 8-hour day. The non-union pay is less, but hey, you get to be in a movie. 3:55, WCBS Money News now. Let's go live to the CBiz Marks Paneth Business Desk. I'm going to miss you. Bloomberg's Erica Herskowitz.
Oh, I'm going to miss you, too. Well, let's go be extras in that movie. That would be awesome. Warner Brothers. Yeah, exactly. See, you got the part. Fox, Warner Brothers, Discovery, Disney, Steve were blocked by a judge from launching their streaming service, sports service, Venue, 1 week before it's rolled out, taking a blow from their smaller rival, Fubo TV. A judge today issued a preliminary injunction blocking the sports streaming service from going forward while Fubo's lawsuit against the three companies proceeds. The ruling is a victory for Fubo, which argues that the new venture would destroy its business. Meanwhile, betting giant Tempur Sealy wanted to buy Mattress Firm to eliminate its biggest rival. That's according to newly unsealed documents in the government lawsuit seeking to block the deal. Tempur Sealy's top executive wrote comments on the cover of a May 2022 presentation about the deal, saying that the buying of Mattress Firm would eliminate future competition and block new competition. The U.S. Federal Trade Commission sued in federal court to block the $4 billion acquisition last month. Stocks are higher as we approach the closing bell. The Dow is up 102 points, the Nasdaq up 38, the S&P up 11. With Money News at 25 and 55 on WCBS, I'm Bloomberg's Erica Herskowitz.
Hey, fantasy football fans, do you want to be the owner who was doing a cram session the night before the draft? I didn't think so. You need to start your prep now. This is Faraz from Upper Hand Fantasy. Zach and I are here to get you ready for your fantasy football drafts with insights and advice. From sleepers to busts, we've got you covered and give you the upper hand on your friends. Today is the day to start getting ready for the draft, so join us and stay ahead of the competition. Follow and listen to Upper Hand Fantasy on the free Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcasts.
Get the new Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 6 and Z Flip 6 powered by Galaxy AI with Spectrum free anytime upgrade. Use Circle to search with Google to see more and search more on the large Z Fold 6 screen. Or capture perfectly framed pics using FlexCam and Z Flip 6. Order now with Spectrum free anytime upgrade and get up to $1,000 off, plus the value of your trade-in. Visit a Spectrum store or SpectrumMobile.com today. Offer subject to change. Valid for qualified residential customers only. Service not available in all areas. Restrictions apply.
Sell your home in a snap. Sold it in a snap by the Jim Allen Group simplifies the home selling process. You're guaranteed a cash offer with the #1 real estate team in the Triangle. Just submit your info and schedule an in-home walkthrough. Click the banner to start your offer.
1 in 4 car batteries is weak and needs to be replaced. Let our professional parts people test your battery for free at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
At Miller Mott College, you can build the skills to prepare for new careers in 18 months or less. Visit us in person at 3901 Capitol Boulevard in Raleigh, North Carolina, or online at miller-mott.edu. That's miller-motte.edu.
3:58 WCBS traffic and weather together with Andre Farrow.
Well, the incident on the Whitestone Bridge heading towards the Bronx has cleared, but the delays, the damage is done. All the way back to Roosevelt Avenue and back at Citi Field, you have a huge delay, bumper-to-bumper action trying to get to the foot of the Whitestone Bridge. Southbound, as you continue on the Hutch, approaching the Bruckner interchange, heading towards the Whitestone is very slow. Go with the Throgsneck Queensbound. You do a little better. Andre Farrow, WCBS Traffic Center.
Andre, thank you. The forecast for tonight, mostly cloudy. The low 72 here in the city, 60s in many suburbs. Tomorrow, cloudy and humid, maybe an afternoon shower in spots, high of 82. Then a steadier rain overnight tomorrow night into Sunday. Sunday, cloudy, breezy, humid with occasional rain, maybe a thunderstorm, and a high of around 80. Now 85 degrees here in Hudson Square in Lower Manhattan.
When you need to know why, when it matters most. This is WCBS 880 News.
Vice President Harris lays out her economic policies, including a federal ban on grocery store price gouging. Governor Murphy appoints his former chief of staff to fill the seat being vacated by Senator Bob Menendez. The feds served Mayor Adams with 3 grand jury subpoenas as part of their ongoing corruption probe into the mayor's 2021 campaign. A new court in Suffolk County is New York State's first to focus solely on child sex trafficking. CBS News covers the world next. This is WCBS and WCBS-FM HD2, New York. Put a cassette in the boombox. My last half hour on WCBS is coming up next. I'm Steve Scott at 4 o'clock.
This is CBS News on the Hour, sponsored by Progressive Insurance.
I'm Linda Kenyon. A white Florida woman has been convicted of manslaughter in the fatal shooting of a black neighbor amid an ongoing dispute about children playing loudly outside her home.
An all-white jury deliberated little over 2 hours before convicting 60-year-old Susan Lawrence of fatally shooting 35-year-old A.J. Owens, a mother of 4, outside Lawrence's Ocala, Florida home in June of last year. Prosecutor Rich Buxman told jurors,
"Is it okay to shoot through that closed, locked, deadbolted metal door as someone who was banging on it and yelling, but posing no imminent threat?"
Lawrence, a white woman, faces up to 30 years in prison for killing her black neighbor in a long feud over the black woman's children. Jim Crisula, CBS News.
Vice President Harris has outlined her economic plan for America, which includes lowering the cost of housing and food.
Many of the big food companies are seeing their highest profits in 2 decades. And while many grocery chains pass along these savings, others still aren't.
The presumptive Democratic presidential nominee spoke in Raleigh, North Carolina. President Biden is optimistic about a ceasefire deal in Gaza.
We are closer than we've ever been.
He spoke at the White House as negotiators in Doha released a joint statement saying today's negotiations were conducted in a serious, constructive, and positive atmosphere. Talks resume in Cairo next week. Meanwhile, CBS News confirms a phone conversation between Qatari and Iranian authorities about an imminent Iranian attack against Israel. CBS News national security correspondent Charlie D'Agata.
The source with knowledge of the conversation told CBS News that Qatari's PM and FM foreign minister did
did encourage Iran to avoid any escalation going forward in the talks in Doha, mentioned there was some progress made and stressed the need for these ongoing talks to be given a chance.
California is cracking down on retail theft. CBS's Heather Bosch reports.
It's believed to be California's strongest attempt to crack down on retail theft rings in years. At the same time, some lawmakers hope it'll be enough to prevent voters from approving a ballot measure that would make shoplifting a felony. Critics say the measure would disproportionately harm low-income people and those struggling with substance abuse. Heather Bosch, CBS News.
A bittersweet epilogue to the gymnastics Olympics. Bitter for Jordan Childs, sweet for her Romanian rival.
Romanian gymnast Ana Barbosu receiving the Olympic bronze medal that had been awarded to Jordan Childs. Romanian sports officials say it was not the same medal given to Childs. She has said she'll continue to fight to regain that third place ranking, even though the Court of Arbitration for Sport has said its ruling was final.
Sponsored by Progressive Insurance. Get renter's insurance to protect the things that make your place a home, including coverage for theft or damage. Visit Progressive.com. Where the biggest stories are told. This is On the Record with Steve Scott on WCBS 880 News.
Good afternoon. Hazy sunshine, 85 degrees in New York. Tonight, mostly cloudy, lows 72 in the city, 60s in many suburbs. Chief Meteorologist Craig Allen will be along this half hour to give you your weekend forecast. Looks like there's a chance of rain both days. Now, 4:03 at WCBS. Good afternoon. I'm Steve Scott. Thank you for joining us today. New Jersey Governor Phil Murphy has named his longtime chief of staff to fill the Senate seat being vacated by Bob Menendez. Here's WCBS reporter Marla Diamond.
Much of the governor's announcement centered upon restoring the public's trust in its elected leaders. George Helmy will serve until the voters choose a new senator in November.
If nothing else, in my short time in office, I hope to begin to restore a small measure of faith and belief in the honor of public service. Then I believe I've done the job correctly.
Murphy passed over the frontrunner, Congressman Andy Kim, for the appointment after Kim's bruising primary with Murphy's wife, Tammy.
A lot of the press, and I'm not accusing anybody of this, would imply that there's sort of some middle school drama with me and Andy Kim, which is just not true. I had a very pleasant conversation with him this morning.
Kim is running against hotelier Curtis Bashaw, an openly gay Republican. In Newark, Marla Diamond, WCBS 880 News.
The day after a second FBI subpoena, Mayor Adams still isn't saying much. We get the latest from WCBS reporter Mac Rosenberg.
The only clear answers we got from the mayor about this investigation are that he's going to cooperate, he did nothing wrong, and he's not going to spend the whole day being asked about it.
And no matter what we say, you're going to write the story the way you want. So we take a few more questions, and then I got to bounce.
The big questions remain: what are the feds asking for, and what have they found, given that this is the second round of subpoenas?
I follow the rules, and I'm going to continue to do so.
The mayor's team is being careful about leaking details. Chief Counsel Lisa Zornberg says on the front page of that subpoena, it says to not even acknowledge its existence.
We've been very respectful of SD&Y's process and will respond.
The feds are looking at whether or not the mayor colluded with the Turkish government for illegal campaign donations. At City Hall, Mac Rosenberg, WCBS 880 News.
The NYPD is searching for the suspect who shot two people, including a bystander, early today in the Bronx. We get the latest from reporter Glenn Schuck.
So what led to the fight between these two men outside of Billy's Deli is unclear, but the surveillance video is clear. It shows them wrestling on the ground when one of them pulls out a gun and fires several times. One of the men in the fight, 43 years old, ended up shot in the back. A woman, 37 years old, walking down the block on her way home, grazed by a bullet.
I don't know what happened. All I know is I was walking, I heard commotion, and next thing I know I was shot.
Where?
On my leg.
What'd you do then?
People was helping me.
How about getting to the hospital? How'd you do that?
A random person took me to the hospital.
The victim shot in the back, critical now at St. Barnabas, but stable, as cops in the 52nd Precinct are trying to track down the trigger man. From University Heights, Glenn Schuck, WCBS 880 News.
4:06 at WCBS. Suffolk County is now home to the state's first human trafficking court that focuses solely on children. WCBS Long Island Bureau Chief Sophia Hall with details.
It's a reality no one wants to think about. Suffolk County Judge Andrew Kreca says children as young as 11 years old becoming the victims of human trafficking here in the county.
There are certain zones, or areas I should say, where child human trafficking is worse than others, and Long Island is one of those areas.
Kreca says to combat the problem, the first juvenile human trafficking court in New York State has opened up in Suffolk.
We're identifying children who have either been trafficked or are at high risk of being trafficked, and then bringing them into this court and really taking a multidisciplinary approach to meeting and formulating a treatment plan.
So far, 30 young people are receiving the help they need. In Suffolk County, Sophia Hall, WCBS 880 News.
A Queens woman faces 88 animal cruelty charges after 3 dead cats and more than 24 living dogs and cats were found inside her squalid home. A search of Elizabeth Grant's Jackson Heights house in May uncovered 26 dogs and 12 cats living in their own filth without access to clean water. Many of the animals were emaciated, had matted fur and other health problems. They were taken to the ASPCA in Manhattan for treatment. We're happy to report that most have now been adopted. The house was also found to be structurally unsound due to all the dog and cat urine seeping through and rotting the floors. Grant faces up to 2 years behind bars if convicted. WCBS News Time, 4:08, traffic and weather together every 10 minutes on the 8s. Where shall we begin? Andre Farrell.
We're going to go to Route 10. If you're traveling westbound in New Jersey, there's a crash. Got a call from Diane. She noticed it and gave us a ring on the tip line. Yeah, it's a crash on the westbound side of Route 10 in New Jersey. Over in Randolph, you have the right lane closed. Now, back to the George Washington Bridge and back to the delays. If you're traveling inbound, you're looking at a solid 45 minutes. Eastbound 46, southbound Palisades, it's all bad. And the southbound Henry Hudson Parkway really has not improved heading down towards Dyckman Street. Usually that's the good way to get around some of that Deegan drama. But again, the Deegan is just as bad, almost all the way back to McLean Avenue in Yonkers, trying to get down to Yankee Stadium, no dice. And then the northbound Deegan from the 3rd Avenue Bridge, bumper to bumper the entire stretch trying to get up to the Cross Bronx. Huge delays on the northbound, southbound FDR from the 59th Street Bridge up to the Triborough. Both directions just terrible. Local avenues or the West Side Highway. Maybe you want to use Broadway to get around some of the delays on the West Side Highway as well, or Riverside Drive. The Lincoln Tunnel's at least 30 minutes on both sides. Outbound Holland, well, Canal, Broome, Watt, Varick, pick your poison. It's going to be tough trying to get to the New Jersey side. You're looking at least 45 minutes. Inbound about the same. Andre Farrow, WCBS Traffic Center.
WCBS Chief Meteorologist Craig Allen joins us now. Craig, who's been here for, we'll just say most of the station's 57 years.
Most of my life?
Most of your life. Most of my life.
Yeah.
Craig live in the Weather Center, and looks like it could be a damp weekend, kind of muggy and damp.
It does, yeah. There's a couple of things that we have to be, that are noteworthy about this weekend. First of all, there will be a couple of showers in the forecast, a few tomorrow, more so on Sunday. So they're not actually going to be great beach days to begin with. But the bigger problem is that Ernesto still be about 400 or 500 miles offshore, but rough surf and rip currents will propagate all the way on out to our ocean shores, and it's going to be rough out there on the waters for the next, let's say, 48 to maybe as much as 60 or 72 hours until Ernesto moves away. So becoming mostly cloudy and humid with lows tonight 68 to 74. Tomorrow, variably cloudy and humid with a chance of a shower or two. Highs 80 to 85. Saturday night, scattered showers, possibly a thunderstorm, 68 to 74. Mostly cloudy and humid on Sunday. Showers and thunderstorms, they will become more likely, especially later in the day and at night, and the high temperature will be up around 80 degrees. It's 83 now, humidity 52%, and we have southerly winds at 14 miles per hour.
Chief Meteorologist Craig Allen, thank you. 411 at WCBS.
Get the new Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 6 and Z Flip 6 powered by Galaxy AI with Spectrum free anytime upgrade. Use Circle to search with Google to see more and search more on the large Z Fold 6 screen. Or capture perfectly framed pics using FlexCam and Z Flip 6. Order now with Spectrum free anytime upgrade and get up to $1,000 off, plus the value of your trade-in. Visit a Spectrum store or SpectrumMobile.com today. Offer subject to change. Valid for qualified residential customers only. Service not available in all areas. Restrictions apply.
Get 5 quarts of O'Reilly Full Synthetic Motor Oil and a MicroGuard oil filter for $29.99. In-store only. Limit supply.
O'Reilly.
At Miller Mott College, you can build the skills to prepare for new careers in 18 months or less. Visit us in person at 3901 Capitol Boulevard in Raleigh, North Carolina, or online at miller-mott.edu. That's miller-motte.edu.
Hey, fantasy football fans, do you want to be the owner who is doing a cram session the night before the draft? I didn't think so. You need to start your prep now. This is Faraz from Upper Hand Fantasy. Zach and I are here to get you ready for your fantasy football drafts with insights and advice. From sleepers to busts, we've got you covered and give you the upper hand on your friends. Today is the day to start getting ready for the draft, so join us and stay ahead of the competition. Follow and listen to Upper Hand Fantasy on the free Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcasts.
Tropic Fan Fest is on at Tropical Smoothie Cafe. You know what that means. Free smoothies for Tropic Rewards members all week. Monday, free smoothie. Tuesday, free smoothie. Wednesday, another one. Thursday, another one. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, you guessed it, more free smoothies with bowl or food purchase. Don't miss a day. Download our app and join Tropic Rewards to get in on the fun. Tropic Fan Fest is now through August 18th at Tropical Smoothie Cafe. Terms and conditions apply.
Small business owners, Spectrum Business knows you do it all. Make sales, track inventory, and keep your customers happy. Keep it all going with Spectrum One for Business. For just $49.99 a month, get fast, reliable internet, advanced Wi-Fi with Security Shield, and a free mobile line for 1 year. Visit spectrum.com/business to get internet, advanced Wi-Fi, and a free mobile line for a year for $49.99 a month. Visit spectrum.com/business today. Restrictions apply. Services not available in all areas.
Fantasy freaks and geeks. What's cracking? It's your boy James Koh back with my brand new project, the Sleeper King Football Podcast. Look, I get it, okay? There's a lot of fantasy pods out there, but we're going to keep this one light, 15 to 20 minutes, 4 to 5 times a week. And man, we are going to pack it with all the info you need. Season long, weekly projections, and of course, sleepers. Follow and listen to the Sleeper King Football Podcast on the free Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcasts.
4:14 at WCBS. This is my final day at WCBS, my final show. I've got about 15 minutes left. It's also the final day on the air today for my longtime friend, colleague, former on-air partner, Michael Wallace, who joins me now in Studio 11A. Mike, it's been a great run, I think, not only for us, but, I mean, obviously the station as a whole, 57 years.
Really amazing that it's coming to an end. I don't know about you, this whole week I've just been numb.
Yeah.
I'm like I hate to use the phrase dead man walking, but my wife keeps asking me, "How are you? You're not really showing any emotion." I'm like, I don't know. I'm just kind of numb. I can't believe it.
I think the first day or so there was that shock, that kind of gut punch that none of us saw coming. But now it's kind of morphing into reality. And we spent 7 great years together sitting in the seats we're in right now. And we found really, I think pretty early on, that we were compatible because there are some things that we like when a commercial jingle starts playing.
Yeah, I mentioned earlier, I have this horrible habit of singing along to all the commercials.
It's a wonderful habit.
I bet some listeners do too, but a lot of times I do it and I don't even realize it. I've had past co-anchors actually yell at me to please shut up. But Steve actually sang along with me. So
we do a great two-part harmony. And
nobody sings Cars for Kids like Steve and I.
That's right. Nobody does. And every time we would hear a word that would, like, I don't know, it's almost like a Pavlovian response. Like if the traffic reporter says that the BQE is solid
as a rock.
Rock.
Right. I think you are a little more than me, but we're also kind of grammar nerds too.
Yeah.
So if we hear something that someone has fed in or something that, came from another source and there's a bad phrase or words not written well or what, we both kind of cringed at the same time and said, "Whoa, got to fix that."
Grammar geeks, for sure. I mean, we've had you've been here, just short of 20 years, I think.
Just short of 19.
Yeah, and I'm right behind you by about a year. So in our tenure, we think back. I think obviously Superstorm Sandy, when much of the area was out power, and we were really the sole source of communication for people with their little crank radios and their transistor radios.
Yeah, I was on the air that night anchoring as the storm came in, and I will never forget, Steve. we have this service here. It's called the BNN. Which I believe is
Breaking News Network, I think. Yeah.
And so there are people that work for the BNN who actually listen to the scanners and they type out what they're hearing, and then we can see it on the screen. And that night during Sandy, I was seeing, things posted like off-duty police officer in the Rockaways says she's on her roof and the water is rising and needs immediate help. And, and the dispatcher responded, "Can't get to you. Good luck." I mean, just crazy stuff like that will stick with me forever.
You know what I remember from that night? Our colleague Alex Silverman, who now runs our Odyssey all-news station in L.A., KNX. Alex was out in the field. I remember he was on West Street.
He was down in the very tip of Lower Manhattan in the complete dark because the power had gone. He was using his cell phone flash to walk around and make sure he wasn't getting in too deep of water.
And all of a sudden, like, there was a wall of water coming at him. I think he might have been on the air with me with us. Yeah, I think. And he says, "I got to turn around and go the other way." So, I mean, there are so many memorable moments. I'm glad that you were able to come in because you have meant a lot to me, not only professionally but personally.
Oh, please, likewise.
And, getting to know your family. How could you now have 3 kids that are college age or older? I haven't figured that out yet. Aren't they all still like this tall?
Yeah. When I first started here, I only had 2 kids. Now I have 2 teenagers and a kid in his 20s. It's just absurd.
Working at WCBS, it will give you children.
It will age you. And I also lost all my hair while I was here, too.
Yeah, you and me both, brother. Michael Wallace, thanks for stopping in. Mike's in at the bottom of the hour with Drive Time, but I'm glad that you could come in for a couple minutes.
I love you like a brother, man. Thanks for all the good years. Good luck.
You bet. Thanks. Now at 4:18, WCBS traffic and weather together on the 8th, sponsored by Eisner Amper. We like you too, Andre Farrow.
I appreciate it. I hope my grammar is okay as well. If you're traveling inbound George Washington Bridge, 45 minutes at least. The eastbound 46 ride is slow, and the southbound Palisades remains a very busy ride. It's been a rough go of it on the southbound Henry Hudson Parkway heading down towards Dyckman. You have delays that go almost all the way back to the Marshalloo Parkway. And speaking of that, the southbound Eagan from the Marshalloo all the way down to the Cross Bronx is a bumper-to-bumper deal. The Triborough is terrible. Whether you're Queens, Bronx, or Manhattan bound, doesn't matter. The span heading towards the Harlem River Drive is slow in both directions, and huge delays on the FDR from the 59th Street Bridge up to the Triborough in both directions. West Side Highway is a little bit better, but 96th Street up to the George is going to be slow. 30 minutes out of the Holland and Lincoln, about the same inbound, and huge delays still in Queens on that northbound Whitestone Expressway, although that crash did clear on the Whitestone Bridge heading back to the Bronx. Andre Farrow, WCBS Traffic Center.
Chief Meteorologist Craig Allen, if Mike's like my brother, I guess you are like my...
I'm your brother.
Slightly older brother.
Yes, definitely older, but I am your brother too. There's no doubt about it. Everyone, show of hands. This man is the best in the afternoon that I have worked with. Absolutely. Oh, wait, is Michael still in there? I better not say that. But nonetheless, rough surf, rip currents, and at the ocean beaches this weekend. Let's get into the weather, and it is going to become mostly cloudy tonight and stay that way into the weekend. So it may not be a great beach weekend to begin with, but remember the rough surf and the rip currents that will be out there at the ocean beaches. Highs 80 to 85, Saturday night's low 68 to 74. There could be a shower or two tomorrow and tomorrow night. A better chance of a few showers or thunderstorms Sunday, and especially late day and at night. Highs up around 80. Still some showers or thunderstorms around on Monday. Highs close to 80. And Tuesday, lingering showers will give way to some breaks in the overcast. Maybe the sunshine will be returning by Tuesday afternoon in full. And also a little bit cooler. Highs will be in the middle 70s. 83 right now. Humidity 52%. We have southeasterly winds. And again, 83 in the city. It's going down to between 68 and 74. I just don't know how to close this. I'll say it one more time. At 4:30. The last time I speak to you, at least on air, you better know that it's not the last time I speak to you.
Craig, you've been here, what? I've run out of fingers and toes.
43
years.
Yeah.
Chief Meteorologist Craig Allen, the best at what he does. Craig, thank you. We'll hear from you again in just a few minutes. It's 4:21 at WCBS.
Get the new Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 6 and Z Flip 6 powered by Galaxy AI with Spectrum free anytime upgrade. Use Circle to Search with Google to see more and search more on the large Z Fold 6 screen. Or capture perfectly framed pics using FlexCam and Z Flip 6. Order now with Spectrum free anytime upgrade and get up to $1,000 off, plus the value of your trade-in. Visit a Spectrum store or SpectrumMobile.com today. Offer subject to change. Valid for qualified residential customers only. Service not available in all areas. Restrictions apply.
At Miller Mott College, you can build the skills to prepare for new careers in 18 months or less. Visit us in person at 3901 Capitol Boulevard in Raleigh, North Carolina, or online at miller-mott.edu. That's miller-motte.edu.
O'Reilly! Now's the time to replace your worn-out brakes and save at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Get 15% off a set of Brake Best Select, Select Pro, or Import Direct brake pads and 2 rotors. Restore quality braking today. Our professional parts people can recommend the right brakes for your vehicle and budget. In-store at O'Reilly Auto Parts or O'ReillyAuto.com.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Get your laugh on with me, Chris Jericho, and the Talk is Jericho podcast. We've got Guns N' Roses Hall of Famer Duff McKagan and his joke of the week every Friday, plus regular visits from the hilarious Brad Williams and special appearances by everyone from Gabriel Fluffy Iglesias, Mark Maron, Dennis Miller, Cheech Marin, Kevin Nealon. If they're funny, they're on Talk is Jericho. So listen to and follow Talk is Jericho now on the free Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcasts.
Small business owners. Spectrum Business knows you do it all. Make sales, track inventory, and keep your customers happy. Keep it all going with Spectrum One for Business. For just $49.99 a month, get fast, reliable internet, advanced Wi-Fi with Security Shield, and a free mobile line for 1 year. Visit spectrum.com/business to get internet, advanced Wi-Fi, and a free mobile line for a year for $49.99 a month. Visit spectrum.com/business today. Restrictions apply. Services not available in all areas.
423 at WCBS. We've talked about today, August 16th, being the day of my last show. It's the day that Elvis Presley died, that Babe Ruth died, the date that Aretha Franklin died, the date that Pete Best was fired from the Beatles in 1962. So how about a good Elvis conspiracy fraud scheme?
It probably would have gotten Elvis Presley all shook up. A Missouri woman has been arrested on federal charges in connection with an alleged scheme to defraud Presley's family of millions of dollars and steal their ownership interest in Graceland, Presley's former home in Memphis, Tennessee. 53-year-old Lisa Finley of Kimberling City, Missouri, has used numerous aliases. She falsely claimed Presley's daughter pledged the property as collateral for a loan she failed to pay before her death. Jim Crisula, CBS News.
You know, those of us who get to be on WCBS every day, some of us for a long time, we're the lucky ones. You get to hear us, you know about us, but there are so many people behind the scenes that make these broadcasts possible that you never get to hear their names, or rarely. I wish you could meet them. They're wonderful people working behind the scenes today in our newsroom. Our desk assistant, Michael Pardal, Heather Ron is our booker. Laura Kalarausch is our writer today, and Anita Bonita is at the producer's desk. Let's check money news from the CBiz Marks Paneth Business Desk. Small Business Spotlight, sponsored by Dime Community Bank, New York's premier community bank for business.
4 million people ride the New York City subway each week. Certainly a captive audience of potential shoppers. The MTA is always looking for entrepreneurial partners to lease a wide variety of retail. Opportunities range from grab and go to larger mezzanine opportunities that could incorporate food and beverage as well as other uses. Retail opportunities are also available along the routes of the Long Island Railroad and Metro North. And the MTA is creatively activating spaces in dozens of stations, energizing vacant retail with art installations and cultural programming. For more information on real estate opportunities with the MTA, go to mta.info. That's mta.info.
I'm Rob Walsh for the Business Spotlight on WCBS 880 News.
426. Michael Wallace will be back in here with Drive Time coming up at the bottom of the hour. This was my final broadcast on WCBS for nearly 2 decades. It's been my honor, my pleasure, to bring you the news of the day here on WCBS. We've shared some big stories through the years, haven't we? There have been blackouts, 9/11, when my friend Tom Kaminsky told the world that something has happened at the World Trade Center. There was Superstorm Sandy that night when much of the area was without power and other radio stations went off the air, but somehow we stayed on and we informed and comforted you during that scary storm. Like my colleagues here, I've been overwhelmed by your kind emails and social media posts and phone calls. Here at WCBS, we think of ourselves as family. I mean, we are. We've watched children grow into newborns and young adults with kids of their own. We are family. It's been amazing. But you are our family, too. And you have graciously invited us into your homes and cars for 57 years. That will end on August 26th. What's next for me? Well, I don't know. Well, actually, I do know. My wife, Jean, and I are leaving tomorrow morning for Mexico to celebrate our 30th anniversary. I'll leave you with the words of one of my journalism idols, Edward R. Murrow. Good night and good luck. And for the final time, I'm Steve Scott, WCBS 880 News.
You do have one lane block there, and then there's a crash on 287, the Cross Westchester Expressway, right before you get to Knollwood Road. That would be exit 4 as you make your way into that White Plains area. Now, if you're traveling on the eastbound-westbound Cross County Parkway by Route 22 in Mount Vernon, very slow, and the westbound delays continue on the Cross County over by Yonkers Avenue. Southbound Sawmill heading down towards McLean Avenue and approaching the Henry Hudson Parkway is very busy, and then you have more delays approaching Dykeman Street. Huge delays on the northbound FDR from the 59th Street Bridge up to the Triborough. Even southbound is getting hammered. Northbound on the West Side Highway from the 90s up to the George, bumper to bumper. You might want to try Broadway and Riverside Drive for a few exits. Andre Ferro, WCBS Traffic Center.
Steve, I want you to have the best week of vacation that you possibly can, and we will all talk again when you get back. And temperatures for tonight are going to be down to 68 to 74 degrees under a mostly cloudy sky, more humidity. This weekend will not be the best of beach weathers, but it's not going to be raining the entire time. A chance of a shower or two on Saturday. Sunday has a better chance of showers or thunderstorms. It will be a muggy week and a high right around 80 degrees. Keep in mind, rough surf, rip currents at the ocean beaches. Steve, your gem. 83 degrees right now, humidity 52%.
Thank you, Craig.
Your radio home for Mets baseball.
Put it in the books.
This is WCBS 880 News.
Vice President Kamala Harris rolls out her economic agenda, including tax cuts for low and middle-class families. The City Council approves a rezoning of the East Bronx to allow for the construction of more affordable housing. Negotiators come up with a new ceasefire proposal for Israel and Hamas, but Hamas is unimpressed. Governor Murphy appoints his former chief of staff, George Helmy, to fill the Senate seat Bob Menendez will resign from. Mayor Adams promises to cooperate after the FBI subpoenaed him in its campaign fundraising probe. Hurricane Ernesto heads for Bermuda. 83, partly cloudy on Friday, August 16th. Good afternoon. I'm Michael Wallace. It's 4:31 at WCBS on Drive Time. Vice President Kamala Harris was in Raleigh, North Carolina today touting her economic agenda. She's vowing to tackle lowering food and housing costs, cutting taxes for the low and middle class, and expanding the child tax credit and the earned income tax credit.
Millions of Americans with children got to keep more of their hard-earned income. We know this works and has a direct impact on so many issues, including child poverty.
Harris also wants to provide incentives for builders of starter homes, help first-time home buyers with their down payments, and lower health insurance premiums through the Affordable Care Act. Donald Trump's running mate, Senator J.D. Vance, is holding a campaign event in Wisconsin today.
Vance will be talking about rising crime, and he's doing that in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, where we have seen a spike in crime over the last several years. Today, he is also holding this event at the Milwaukee Police Association. Now, that's critical because that is the union representing Milwaukee police officers.
CBS News campaign reporter Olivia Rinaldi. 4:32 on Drive Time. The City Council has approved the rezoning of a portion of the East Bronx to allow about 7,000 new homes to be built. That area is near where 2 new Metro North stations are scheduled to open in 2027. 1,700 of those homes will be permanently restricted to lower-income residents to address the city's affordable housing crisis. The council also approved a $500 million in infrastructure upgrades for the East Bronx, things like new sidewalks and sewers. The U.S., Egypt, and Qatar have come up with a new ceasefire and hostage release proposal for Israel and Hamas. CBS's Charlie D'Agata has the latest.
The talks have been put on hold for now with the idea that they will resume in Egypt next week. There will be mediators in the meantime working on the technicalities of those talks.
One official says the negotiators made more progress in the last 2 days than they had in the last 6 weeks.
President Biden says he's optimistic about prospects for a ceasefire and hostage release deal between Israel and Hamas after 2 days of talks in Doha.
We are closer than we've ever been.
The president told reporters in the Oval Office he doesn't want to jinx anything.
But we're not there yet. It was much, much closer than it was 3 days ago.
The president's expressed optimism at other points during the 10-month war, only for talks to break down. This time, mediators hope to get together again in Cairo next week to seal a deal.
Keep your fingers crossed.
Sagar Magani, Washington.
4:34 on Drive Time. We now know who'll be filling the New Jersey Senate seat Bob Menendez is resigning from.
I will be appointing George Samir Helmy to represent New Jersey in the United States Senate.
Governor Murphy called Helmy the model of integrity to restore the public's trust in state leadership.
He's an exceptional talent and an even more exceptional human being. And yet he has chosen an unsung path because for him it has never been about who gets the credit. It has always been about whom he can help.
Helmy worked for the late Senator Frank Lautenberg and current Senator Cory Booker.
Relying on my familiarity with the Senate and my deep knowledge of the issues facing this state, I will stand as our second crucial voice in the Democratic caucus under Majority Leader Chuck Schumer on the important items that will come before us over the next months.
And Helmy said he will step down once voters choose a new senator in November. In Newark, Marla Diamond, WCBS 880 News.
New Jersey's other Senator, Cory Booker, calls Helmy a wise and historic choice. A day after the FBI subpoenaed Mayor Adams in his 2021 campaign as part of the investigation into his campaign fundraising, the mayor is promising to cooperate. He spoke to Good Music, Good Time Live's The Reset talk show.
I'm a former law enforcement person. I believe in following the rules, and I've stated it all over and over again, and our team know that we're going to turn over any information that is needed to come to a swift conclusion in this review.
Back in November, the FBI seized the mayor's phones and raided his top fundraiser's home. A first-of-its-kind court in New York State that focuses on child sex trafficking is now helping victims in Suffolk County. Our Long Island Bureau Chief Sophia Hall has more.
The Suffolk County Juvenile Human Trafficking Court has only been open for 2 months, but since that time, 30 young people have already been receiving counseling. Judge Andrew Krekka says Long Island is a place where children human trafficking is a big problem.
Children as young as 11, 12, 13 years old are being trafficked. You know, they could end up there a number of different ways, whether they're runaways or the like.
This court identifies victims and those potentially who will become a victim of human trafficking, and then they get the help they need.
It is definitely possible to break the cycle. We've had human trafficking courts in New York State that dealt with adult populations and have really been very successful in the past.
In Suffolk County, Sophia Hall, WCBS 880 News.
Hurricane Ernesto is heading for Bermuda, which could get 36 hours of hurricane-force winds and a foot of rain. The storm will stay out over the ocean, but will create dangerous rip currents at our beaches this weekend. Carol Dioria has tips on how to stay safe.
There are signs up at Rockaway Beach telling folks what to do if they're caught in a rip current. Keep calm and swim parallel to the shore to escape it. If that's not possible, then simply float or tread water. Julia was sunning herself and said the most she will do is put her toes in the water. She knows the water has a mind of its own.
When I was in Hawaii, and I probably shouldn't have gone in the water, and I think that's when I learned my lesson. And I went and I was not even knee deep, and a wave came and pulled me in, and it was the scariest thing.
Most other beachgoers agree they get in and get out quickly. The risk of a rip current is high until Saturday night at 9 p.m. In Rockaway Beach, Carol Dioria, WCBS 880 News.
A Queens Supreme Court judge has dismissed one of several lawsuits over the noise coming from concerts at Forest Hill Stadium. A group called the Concerned Citizens of Forest Hills tried to sue to force the company that owns the stadium to comply with local noise and zoning laws. But the judge ruled they failed to indicate the harm is isolated to only them and not the larger community. Andy Court is the group's president.
The ruling, if you read it, is based on very technical legal arguments. What I think it doesn't take into account is the fact that they're violating the law in multiple ways, and something has to be done about it.
Forest Hill Stadium says it has spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on noise mitigation efforts and on complying with zoning laws. WCBS News Time, 4:38 on Drive Time. Traffic and weather together on the 8th. Andre Ferro in the traffic center.
Hey there, Mike. Let's go to 10th Avenue between 15th and 16th Street. We still have that investigation going on, that accident investigation, and all lanes are closed and detoured. So if you're traveling Manhattan right now, you're going to be dealing with that. The northbound Henry Hudson Parkway past exit 13, there's a disabled vehicle over by 158th Street. The disabled vehicle is blocking one lane. And then the southbound Henry Hudson Parkway heading down towards Dyckman Street, which has been terrible. There's still a crash there blocking the right and center lanes. It's been out there for quite some time. Plus the northbound FDR, we're seeing big delays from the 59th Street Bridge up to the Triborough. Southbound from exit 17 on the Harlem River Drive heading down towards the 59th Street Bridge is bumper to bumper as well. West Side Highway, well, you're dealing with those extra delays because of that disabled vehicle, but you're very slow from 73rd Street all the way up to the George. Outbound Lincoln and Holland, throwing at least 35 minutes. You're very slow across the span through the tubes of the Battery Tunnel heading towards the FDR. The Brooklyn people just got tired of dealing with the delays eastbound and westbound over by Atlantic Avenue, and the Brooklyn Bridge, terrible in both directions. So the Brooklyn Battery Tunnel, it is. At least you keep the wheels moving and don't burn any more gas. Now, if you're traveling over the Verrazano back onto Staten Island, you're very slow from Highland Boulevard all the way to Victory Boulevard, bumper to bumper, trying to get to the Goethals. Andre Ferro, WCBS Traffic Center.
And the forecast from our chief meteorologist, Craig Allen, becoming mostly cloudy, humid overnight with lows near 70. Tomorrow, cloudy, humid, chance of a shower or two and a high of 85. Could have some more showers or a thunderstorm tomorrow night into Sunday. The Sunday storms would be later in the day. Sunday's high near 80. Monday, cloudy and humid again with some more showers and thunderstorms and around and a high of 80. Might finally see some sun on Tuesday. A little cooler Tuesday, too, with a high in the mid-70s. Radar pretty clear now. It's 83 in Oyster Bay. It is 88 down in Princeton. Here in Lower Manhattan, 83 degrees at 4:40 at WCBS on Drive Time.
Get the new Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 6 and Z Flip 6 powered by Galaxy AI with Spectrum free anytime upgrade. Use Circle to search with Google to see more and search more on the large Z Fold 6 screen. Or capture perfectly framed pics using FlexCam and Z Flip 6. Order now with Spectrum free anytime upgrade and get up to $1,000 off, plus the value of your trade-in. Visit a Spectrum store or SpectrumMobile.com today. Offer subject to change. Valid for qualified residential customers only. Service not available in all areas. Restrictions apply.
Tropic Fan Fest is on at Tropical Smoothie Cafe. You know what that means. Free smoothies for Tropic Rewards members all week. Monday, free smoothie. Tuesday, free smoothie. Wednesday, another one. Thursday, another one. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, you guessed it, more free smoothies with bowl or food purchase. Don't miss a day. Download our app and join Tropic Rewards to get in on the fun. Tropic Fan Fest is now through August 18th at Tropical Smoothie Cafe. Terms and conditions apply.
Baseball is in full swing. NBA playoffs are heating up, and your NFL team is gearing up for training camp. Listen to the latest on the teams you love here on the Odyssey app. The biggest sports radio stations in the country, providing unrivaled local coverage of their teams, all in one place. Exclusive interviews with players, coaches, and team executives, streaming live and always available on demand. Stay in the know with your favorite teams right here on the Odyssey app.
Small business owners. Spectrum Business knows you do it all. Make sales, track inventory, and keep your customers happy. Keep it all going with Spectrum One for Business. For just $49.99 a month, get fast, reliable internet, advanced Wi-Fi with Security Shield, and a free mobile line for 1 year. Visit spectrum.com/business to get internet, advanced Wi-Fi, and a free mobile line for a year for $49.99 a month. Visit spectrum.com/business today. Restrictions apply. Services not available in all areas.
CBiz Marks Paneth is your team of trusted tri-state experts serving your tax, accounting, and advisory needs. Backed by thousands of experts nationwide, CBiz Marks Paneth works to uncover all your available credits and savings. That's CBiz Marks Paneth. Find them online at cbiz.com/MP.
Hello, as I've said tens of thousands of times here on 880, I'm meteorologist Todd Glickman in the WCBS Weather Center. It has been an honor and privilege to bring you the weather for the past 45 years. I hope that in some small way we've helped you understand how the weather affects your everyday lives. And from the small business breakfast to the New York Marathon in Central Park, we've also had some fun along the way. Huge thanks to our WCBS family, both off and on air, for their friendship and support, and especially to Craig Allen, who's been a personal friend and professional colleague for more than 4 decades.
4:42 at WCBS on Drive Time. Investigators are worried about a new drug showing up at nightclubs in New York City. It's called pink cocaine. The city's special narcotics prosecutor, Brigitte Brennan, is joining us on Drive Time. Brigitte, always good to have you on. So is pink coke exactly what it sounds like, or is there more to it than that?
The one thing you can probably count on with something being sold as pink cocaine is that it very likely doesn't contain any cocaine at all.
Wow.
Based on the cases we have run, and we've run probably close to a dozen of them now, usually once the laboratory report is completed, it comes back as most often ketamine. It's usually mixed with a bunch of other substances. It's pink. And it's a white powder originally, maybe, but it generally does. If it contains cocaine, it contains some cocaine, but mostly it's other substances.
Does it come in a powder form?
Yes. Generally speaking, what we have seen is in a powder form. We see it sold in little glassine envelopes often, or twists, and it's bright pink. It's looking like a party drug. Our guess is that it's most frequently sold for people who are going to clubs or for that kind of a scene. And it's billed as cocaine. Cocaine, as you know, is it's an upper. It makes people feel very animated. And the effect of ketamine is actually just the opposite. It has an aesthetic effect, sort of a sedative effect. And in very high doses, as it has been found in some of these products we've recovered, it can knock people out. It has the opposite effect as cocaine. When you have two drugs pulling in two different directions is pretty damaging. And so I would really, really caution anybody who thinks they're buying pink cocaine to be well aware that what they're going to get is very, very likely not cocaine, not something that they're accustomed to.
When you have tested this pink cocaine, has the chemical makeup always been about the same, or does it vary widely from dose to dose?
It varies widely from dose to dose. We most frequently find ketamine, but we find all kinds of other substances as well. Methamphetamine, other kinds of sedating substances. Primarily, I would say ketamine is the one we find most often.
The fact that there's so many different chemical makeups, does that lead you to believe that there's more than one or two people making this stuff? Do you have any idea where it's coming from?
Oh, yeah. It is definitely, there's more than one or two people making it. From what we've seen, sometimes we've recovered it in connection with the recovery of other narcotic drugs, and it might be an incidental recovery. We might be looking for fentanyl or believe that we're going to be recovering fentanyl at a certain location, and we end up recovering that substance, the fentanyl, maybe in a bag, and then separately some pink cocaine.
Boy, so there's that pink cocaine, which sounds pretty dangerous. And then there's still the real cocaine. I understand you've made a big bust in a tractor trailer in the Bronx. Tell us about that.
There was a truck that had what we call a trap, a concealed compartment, and it was carrying 360 pounds of cocaine.
Wow.
Cross country. We're still investigating the route and whether the truck made any other stops, obviously. And that truck was being driven by two drivers, and it was met by a Jeep. That Jeep was later found to contain $30,000 worth of cash. And the Jeep seemed to be directing the truck to a different location. And that's when the investigators moved in based on information that they had. We got a search warrant for it, and that was our recovery. But what this does reflect, Michael, is something that we've been seeing a lot of, which is a lot more cocaine coming into the city. There's been increased production of cocaine both in Colombia and refining of it in Central America. And we're just seeing a whole lot more come in to the U.S. and certainly in through New York City. And it's a trend that they're also seeing in Europe, where they've been seeing increasing amounts of cocaine there as well.
360 pounds of cocaine in that trailer. What's the street value on that?
Well, they put it at more than $4 million. Oof. If you break it into tiny envelopes, each time somebody breaks down the load and sells it to somebody in the chain that's involved in drug trafficking, everybody adds their profit into it. So by the time it hits the street, it's worth multiple times that.
Sure. Boy, a very busy New York City Special Narcotics Prosecutor, Brigitte Brennan. Thank you so much for joining us and updating us on all this, and keep up the good fight.
Thank you very much, Michael.
4:48 at WCBS on Drive Time. Traffic and weather together on the 8s in the traffic center. Andre Farrow.
And we have a crash on the northbound FDR right around 59th Street Bridge, but the delays on the FDR are really ridiculous from 34th Street up to the Triborough. It's a parking lot. Southbound coming down past exit 17 near the Triborough, you're seeing big delays. Nassau County checks in very slow now on the westbound side of the Southern State Parkway. It looks like we have some type of activity heading towards the Meadowbrook, and then you already have the big delays on the eastbound, westbound Northern State right by the New Hyde Park Road area. You have the long-term road work over by the Grand Central Parkway near Alley Palm Park and passing the Clearview. You're going to need a lot of extra time through there. And traveling off the foot of the Whitestone Bridge now, looks like there's some type of activity. Could be a disabled vehicle, but again, the delays are severe on the northbound Whitestone Expressway with delays that go all the way back to City Field. You might want to go with Linden Place and ride that service road for a little bit. Heading inbound the George Washington Bridge remains a very busy ride, 45 minutes. Outbound delays are basically an hour if you want to count all the approaches. Southbound Deegan, southbound Bronx River Parkway, southbound Henry Hudson Parkway hasn't improved. We had that earlier accident over by Dyckman Street, and it remains a very busy ride. Andre Farrow, WCBS Traffic Center.
Well, the temperature was really rising rapidly earlier this morning, but then the wind turned more towards a south-southeasterly direction. So temperatures today were very, very similar to yesterday, generally before the sea breeze kicked in, between 84 and 88. Mostly cloudy for tonight. It's a humid 68 to 74. Tomorrow, variably cloudy, still humid with a chance of a shower or two in the area. 80 to 85. No big rains, for any prolonged period of time. Saturday night, the chance for a shower or thunderstorm goes up. Now, Sunday could see additional showers or thunderstorms, a little more of them around, a little more frequent, and highs will be at a very muggy 80 degrees. Also this weekend, rough surf, rip current risk is going to be high at all ocean beaches. Monday, mostly cloudy and humid, a few showers and thunderstorms still around about 80, and we still may have showers into Tuesday afternoon before we get some brightening and drying out. Right now in the city, it is down to 83, humidity 52%. We have a south wind up to about 10 miles per hour.
Craig Allen in the WCBS Weather Center. Thank you, Craig. It's 4:50 on Drive Time. 4:54 at WCBS. This Health and Wellbeing Report is sponsored by Greenwich Hospital, part of Yale New Haven Health.
A blood test you can take in your doctor's office can be an accurate screening tool for diagnosing Alzheimer's disease. The test looks for a specific kind of amyloid plaque in the blood. That type of plaque
the current comprehensive diagnostic evaluation.
The blood test does appear to be 90% accurate. That's better than most doctors and even specialists. We'll have more on this blood test next time. For this and more health news, go to WCBS880.com/health. I'm Steve Scott, WCBS 880 News.
4:55 on Drive Time. Money news from the CBiz Marks Paneth Business Desk. Here's Bloomberg's Erica Herskowitz.
Well, Michael, home builders are facing weak demand, and that means homes they've already built are piling up. Today, the Commerce Department reported that new home construction in the U.S. fell in July to the lowest level since the aftermath of the pandemic. Total housing starts tumbled by almost 7%, dragged down by fewer single-family units. Building permits, which point to future construction fell 4%, double what was expected. A combination COVID-flu vaccine developed by Pfizer and BioNTech has missed on one of its goals in the final stage trial. The shot failed to show it was at least as effective as a standard shot in generating an immune response against the influenza B strain. It performed better with influenza A and COVID. Pfizer said the two companies are looking into tweaks to the vaccine, which could put them years behind rival makers. A flurry of data showing U.S. economic resilience drove stocks to their best week this year. In fact, the best week since last November. The Dow gained 97 points. The Nasdaq added 37. The S&P rose 11. With Money News at 25 and 55 on WCBS, I'm Bloomberg's Erica Herskowitz.
CBiz Marks Paneth, the New York area's premier accounting, tax, and advisory firm. 4:58 at WCBS on Drive Time. Traffic and weather together with Andre Farrow.
And big delays remain through Queens as you travel eastbound by that new traffic pattern that they have by the long-term road work over by Alley Pond Park and the Grand Central Parkway. So you're dealing with bigger delays there. And the southbound Cross Island Parkway and the southbound Clearview are actually really worse now because some people are trying to avoid that area of the Grand Central. The eastbound LIE, bumper to bumper from Maurice Avenue all the way to the Clearview. It's been a rough go of it on the Cross Bronx. What else is new? But also a disabled vehicle right around the Bronx River Parkway is not helping matters. Andre Farrow, WCBS Traffic Center.
Could see a shower or two over the weekend. Tonight should be mostly cloudy and humid with a low around 70. And then the chance of a shower arrives tomorrow with a high of 85. Could see a thunderstorm Saturday night into Sunday. Could have some more showers and thunderstorms Sunday with highs near 80. And much of the same for Monday as well. High again around 80. 82 in Stamford now. 75 in Brookhaven. Here in Lower Manhattan, we're at 81 degrees.
When you need to know why, when it matters most. This is WCBS 880 News.
Friday, August 16th. Good afternoon. I'm Michael Wallace. Governor Murphy taps his former chief of staff, George Helmy, to finish Bob Menendez's Senate term. Mayor Adams vows to cooperate with the FBI probe into his campaign fundraising after yesterday's new subpoenas. Vice President Harris rolls out her planned tax cuts and blames price gouging for the high cost of food. Negotiators submit a new ceasefire proposal for Israel and Hamas. President Biden says we're closer than we've ever been to a deal. Hurricane Ernesto makes a beeline for Bermuda tonight. This is WCBS and WCBS FM HD2, New York. It's 5 o'clock.
This is CBS News on the Hour, sponsored by O'Reilly Auto Parts.
I'm Linda Kenyon. In the battleground state of North Carolina, Vice President Kamala Harris has announced how she plans to tackle corporate price gouging if elected president. CBS's Willie James Inman has the story.
In her first policy speech since becoming the Democratic Party's presidential nominee, Vice President Kamala Harris acknowledged the toll of inflation on America's middle class and proposed what she calls an opportunity economy.
An economy where everyone can compete and have a real chance to succeed.
She's calling for the first ever federal ban on price gouging for food and groceries. New policies to spur home building, including offering up to $25,000 for first-time homebuyers to use as a down payment.
Mediators have released a statement calling today's ceasefire talks in Doha serious, constructive, and conducted in a positive atmosphere. CBS's Charlie D'Agata says there's more coming.
The talks have been put on hold for now with the idea that they will resume in Egypt next week. There will be mediators in the meantime working on the technicalities of those talks.
Hamas representatives did not attend the talks in Doha. No word if they will attend next week. Is Iran messing with the U.S. presidential election? CBS's Heather Bosch has the story.
OpenAI says it's disrupted an Iranian campaign that used the company's artificial intelligence technology to spread misinformation online about the U.S. presidential election. The San Francisco-based company tells the New York Times it has banned several accounts linked to the campaign, which OpenAI claims did not appear to reach a large audience.
The verdict is in the case of a white Florida woman in the fatal shooting of a black woman and mother of four.
We, the jury, find as count one of the charge. The defendant is guilty of manslaughter.
The all-white jury in Ocala, Florida, found 60-year-old Susan Lawrence guilty of killing her 35-year-old neighbor in a long-running dispute over the victim's children playing outside Lawrence's home. She claimed self-defense after Azika Owens banged on her door. Owens' mother spoke after the verdict.
My heart is a little lighter
and we're now on the path of true healing.
Lawrence faces up to 30 years in prison. Hurricane Ernesto moving in earnest toward Bermuda and is expected to pass near or over Bermuda tomorrow morning. Jean Hedrick is a tourist from Youngstown, Ohio, and she's getting out.
It's not going to be tough because you're going to get out ahead of it.
Bermuda says is a tiny British territory in the middle of the Atlantic. This is CBS News.
Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. Get the parts and service you need fast from the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
.503 at WCBS, and on my last day here, that's when the computer system decides to die on me. How do you like that? We're looking at a partly to mostly cloudy sky this afternoon and through the evening as well. Overnight lows will be around 70 tomorrow. Cloudy and humid with a chance of a shower or two and a high near 85. Right now it is partly to mostly cloudy. We're at 81 degrees here in Lower Manhattan at 5:03 at WCBS. Let's see if we can get this figured out. We'll get back to you in a moment. 5:04 at WCBS on Drive Time Now. The day's top stories. Governor Murphy made it official today. He is appointing his former chief of staff to fill the Senate seat that will open up when convicted Senator Bob Menendez resigns next week. Our Marla Diamond was at today's announcement in Newark.
You might not know his name, but George Helmy is not a newcomer to politics. He began his career with the late Senator Frank Lautenberg and went on to work with Senator Cory Booker.
In other words, George understands on a very fundamental level how a U.S. Senate office operates, and he will be ready to run this office from moment one.
Governor Murphy pointed out that Helmy, the son of Egyptian immigrants, will be the only Arab senator. Helmy called it an awesome responsibility, but insisted it is only temporary.
I have never, nor will I ever, seek elected office. As a matter of fact, as the governor alluded to, the idea of being called senator bothers me deeply.
The seat is up for grabs in November, and the governor vowed to appoint the winner immediately to go to Washington. In Newark, Marla Diamond, WCBS 880 News.
A day after Mayor Adams was subpoenaed by the FBI for a second time as it investigates his campaign fundraising, the mayor took questions on it today, but didn't have a whole lot to say about it.
The only clear answers we got from the mayor about this investigation are that he's going to cooperate, he did nothing wrong, and he's not going to spend the whole day being asked about it.
And no matter what we say, you're going to write the story the way you want. So we take a few more questions, and then I got to bounce.
The big questions remain: what are the feds asking for? And what have they found, given that this is the second round of subpoenas?
I follow the rules, and I'm going to continue to do so.
The mayor's team is being careful about leaking details. Chief Counsel Lisa Zornberg says on the front page of that subpoena, it says to not even acknowledge its existence.
We've been very respectful of SD&Y's process and will respond.
The feds are looking at whether or not the mayor colluded with the Turkish government for illegal campaign donations. At City Hall, Mac Rosenberg, WCBS 880 News.
Monday, the MTA will begin issuing summonses to drivers who block bus lanes or bus stops. Until then, the agency's been issuing warnings. The first fine will be $50. Repeat offenders could be fined as much as $250. 14 bus routes and 623 buses are now equipped with cameras to catch bus lane blockers. By the end of the year, 33 routes and more than 1,000 buses will have them. Offenders will be mailed their summonses. A new juvenile human trafficking court has opened on Long Island. It's the first in New York State. Our bureau chief, Sophia Hall, has the story.
Suffolk County Judge Andrew Krecka gives us the cruel and harsh reality of what has been happening here on Long Island. Children as young as 11 are becoming the victims of human trafficking.
Can be related to gang activity and things like that. It is a very difficult population to find, a population that obviously needs help.
Suffolk County has opened the state's first juvenile human trafficking court to provide resources for children, giving them the services they need.
This court only opened up in mid-June, and now we're talking about less than 2 months later, we've got more than 30 children who have been identified as either being trafficked or at risk of being trafficked. We're already getting them the help they need.
In Suffolk County, Sophia Hall, WCBS 880 News.
More than a dozen Jewish professors at Stony Brook University are calling for what they call a reset after last May's pro-Palestinian protests on campus led to 29 arrests. They want more of an open campus where demonstrators can be heard without fear of being arrested or having their phones seized. But other professors are calling on Stony Brook's interim president to continue the policy that sets rules for campus protests and has those who break those rules arrested. 5:08 at WCBS on Drive Time. Traffic and weather together on the 8s in the traffic center. Andre Farrow.
And today's one of those days we wish we had the flying cars like the Jetsons, because nobody's going anywhere. It's tough out there right now. The southbound Gowanus, we have a disabled vehicle right around exit 23, and brutal delays between the Prospect and Flushing Avenue, both directions of the BQE. Just ridiculous. The inbound BQE, or I should say the inbound Brooklyn Bridge, Brooklyn bound, and the Manhattan bound Brooklyn Bridge is terrible. The Brooklyn Battery Tunnel is feeling the brunt of this as well. Trying to get out of Brooklyn to head towards Manhattan is not an easy task, and right now a lot of people are just hopping in that Battery Tunnel, and I can't blame you for that. Westbound delays continue on the Staten Island Expressway. They're so bad that the Verrazano is backing up, so from basically mid-span of the Verrazano all the way to 440 and passing Victory Boulevard, bumper-to-bumper deals to deal with there, and then the eastbound delays coming off of the Goethals Bridge heading onto Staten Island are slow, and the Outer Bridge heading towards New Jersey is seeing big volume. Huge delays on the northbound FDR from the 59th Street Bridge up to the Triborough. We have that earlier crash still being worked on right around the 59th Street Bridge in the northbound direction. The West Side Highway from the 79th Street area up to the Georges, bumper to bumper. Same deal on the southbound Henry Hudson Parkway heading down towards Dyckman Street. Remains a very busy ride. Inbound George Washington Bridge, 40 minutes, about an hour outbound, 45 minutes outbound Lincoln and Holland. Andre Farrow, WCBS Traffic Center.
It's 81 in the city, humidity 60%, and the dew point is now in the mid to upper 60s. In fact, in some places, it's already closing in on 70, and I think you feel it. The humidity is definitely up. It will be a very muggy weekend. Rough surf and rip currents, they're already starting at some of the ocean beaches, and we will have that all weekend as well. Tonight's low 68 to 74, tomorrow's high 80 to 85. There could be a shower or two in the area tomorrow, as well as Saturday night. Sunday has an even better chance of showers or even a thunderstorm or two, especially the afternoon into the nighttime again, and Sunday's high will also be near 80. 81 now, humidity 60%, a southerly wind up to 13 miles per hour.
Thank you, Craig Allen in the WCBS Weather Center. 5:10 on Drive Time.
Fantasy freaks and geeks, what's cracking? It's your boy James Coe, back with my brand new project, the Sleeper King Football Podcast. Look, I get it, okay? There's a lot of fantasy pods out there, but we're going to keep this one light, 15 to 20 minutes, 4 to 5 times a week, and man, we are going to pack it with all the info you need. Season-long, weekly projections, and of course, sleepers. Follow and listen to the Sleeper King Football Podcast on the free Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcasts.
At Miller Mott College, you can build the skills to prepare for new careers in 18 months or less. Visit us in person at 3901 Capitol Boulevard in Raleigh, North Carolina, or online at miller-mott.edu. That's miller-motte.edu.
Bienvenido a la vida sin mechero. Ese es el lugar donde te sientes libre, como cuando disfrutas una reunión tranquila con amigos en lugar de una noche salvaje en la ciudad, como cuando puedes disfrutar de un momento con el vapor de Blue, solo porque sí. Ya sabes, la vida diaria no tiene por qué sentirse tan rutinaria. Con los cigarrillos electrónicos Blue puedes lograr tus metas y a la vez divertirte. Y cuando nos permitimos dejar el mechero, realmente empezamos a vivir. Blue, deja el mechero. Advertencia, este producto contiene nicotina. La nicotina es un químico adictivo. Prohibida la venta a menores. Blue es una marca registrada de Fountain Holdings 4BV 2022, Fountain US LLC.
This Thursday at 10 a.m., join us for a special audio journey. WCBS 880 News. The people, the moments, the events that shaped our lives. Wayne Cabot, Paul Murnane, and Brigitte Quinn host a 3-hour special with interviews, conversations, and the memorable stories that defined us. This Thursday at 10 a.m. on WCBS 880 News. WCBS New York. WCBS New York.
5:13 at WCBS on Drive Time. A new report says shifting the city's local elections from odd-numbered to even-numbered years would save the city $42 million every other year. WCBS News Time, 5:13. The city's independent budget office's Cassandra Stewart wrote that report.
In our analysis, we find that the bulk of the costs are attributable to poll workers. So consistently over time, poll workers are the largest share of election-related costs. And then there are other line items such as ballot printing and advertising and site rental that contribute to the total cost of elections.
Supporters of the idea add that moving local elections to even-numbered years when the presidential and midterms are held would also boost the turnout for local elections. That change would require a state constitutional amendment. A new study from Harvard University finds celebrities can and do play an influential role in driving voters to the polls. The research focused on nonpartisan activity, including voter education, registration, and mobilization, rather than actions taken by a specific party or candidate. The study suggests get out the vote efforts endorsed by Taylor Swift, Kerry Washington, Billie Eilish, and Trevor Noah led to an increase in voter registrations and interest in civic engagement. The research has also found the celebrity voter efforts galvanize Americans who may have become jaded by the election process. 5:14 on Drive Time. There are concerns Iran is trying to use artificial intelligence to influence U.S. elections.
OpenAI says it's disrupted an Iranian campaign that used the company's artificial intelligence technology to spread misinformation online about the U.S. presidential election. The San Francisco-based company tells the New York Times it has banned several accounts linked to the campaign, which OpenAI claims did not appear to reach a large audience. The growth of AI programs like Chatbot and ChatGPT has raised concerns they could be misused during the election season. Heather Bosch, CBS News.
The NYPD is searching for the suspects who have robbed dozens of businesses in Brooklyn, Queens, and the Bronx.
This manhunt continues for 3 or 4 masked men who have been burglarizing businesses in Queens, Brooklyn, and the Bronx. So far, they've struck 40 times. They're so determined to get money that the police say one of them even lugs around a compact circular saw. They've looted laundromats and bodegas, mostly in the overnight hours. The police just released new video that shows the suspects carrying an entire ATM out of a bodega and placing it in a getaway vehicle. They often gain entry by breaking windows. There have been 3 burglaries in Brooklyn, 9 in the Bronx, and 29 in Queens. You can see photos of the suspects and the video on our website. In Queens, Carol Dioria, WCBS 880 News.
This Monday, the U.S. Tennis Association will be kicking off U.S. Open Fan Week at the Billie Jean King National Tennis Center in Flushing Meadows, just a week before the start of the U.S. Open. The MTA announced it's adding 5 additional daily trains to the 7 line. 3 LIRR trains will add stops at Met's Willets Point. Fan Week will feature a concert by country artist Dierks Bentley with special guest Chase Rice. The U.S. Open begins Monday, August 26th, and it runs through September 8th. Netflix is looking for New Jersey locals to play extras in the upcoming Happy Gilmore sequel.
Happy, the ball itself has its own energy, or life force, if you will. Its natural environment is in the home. So why don't you send him home? His bags are packed. He's got his airplane tickets.
Go to your home, ball. This movie also stars Adam Sandler. It's set to film scenes starting next month until November in Bergen, Essex, Monmouth, Morris, and Somerset counties. The casting call says there is no experience required. Actors in the SAG-AFTRA union will make $216 for an 8-hour day. The non-union pay is less, but hey, you would get to be in the movie. The world's largest inflatable duck is at Rye Playland today through Sunday. Yvonne Keeler is the CEO of Playland.
Mama Duck is going to be on the beach of Rye Beach, right on the sand, and then baby Timmy will be moving around throughout the property to offer different photo ops for people with Timmy, whether he's in the amusement park or out in the Fountain Plaza and the boardwalk.
Mama Duck is 6 stories tall. WCBS News Time 5:18 on Drive Time. Traffic and weather together on the 8th, sponsored by Upper East Side Rehabilitation and Nursing Center. Here's Andre Farrow.
And it's been a tough go of it, obviously, on a Friday. Yeah, you know the deal. But the Whitestone Bridge trying to get into Queens has been a tough task. So has the northbound Whitestone Expressway heading up towards Citi Field and passing Roosevelt Avenue. So you need a lot of time there. Linden Place, it should be better. And then you take the service road. That might save you a little bit of time. The West Side Highway, very slow from 79th Street up to the George. And the same deal with the northbound FDR. The crash did clear over by the 59th Street Bridge, but now the delays have shifted a little further north, but you're very slow northbound and southbound between the RFK and the, at least 79th Street is going to be a tough go. The outbound Lincoln's about 25 minutes, about the same as the outbound Holland. Inbound, both are tougher because you have big delays on the eastbound side of 495 through Weehawken and passing the Eastern Spur, and the ride through Jersey City is a tough one as well on 139, plus the Pulaski Skyway is backed up. The westbound Staten Island Expressway delays continue from Highland to Victory, and then the Gotham Goethals Bridge is slowing up because of the delays on the eastbound side of the Staten Island Expressway. So it's a tough ride trying to get towards Staten Island on the Goethals. Now, if you're using the westbound Southern State Parkway, very slow approaching the Cross Island Parkway, passing Elmont. And we do have more delays on the westbound side of the LIE. Lots of traffic starts heading back to Queens, believe it or not, at this time in Nassau County, heading towards Queens. And that's what you're dealing with on the westbound LIE, approaching the Cross Island Parkway. And the long-term road work's going to slow you down by the Grand Central, east and west, by the Clearview over by Alley Palm Park. Andre Ferro, WCBS Traffic Center.
81 now, and a southerly wind. It's about 80 throughout most of the coastal areas, 78 to 82 approximately. Inland, it's still in the mid-80s, and the biggest thing for this afternoon is that the humidity is definitely up. The dew points are now in the mid to upper 60s, even close to 70 degrees. So it's going to feel quite muggy right through the weekend, and tonight's low 68 to 74. Tomorrow, there could be a shower or two in the afternoon, evening, tomorrow night, here, there. 80 to 85 tomorrow, very humid. Sunday has a better chance of showers and thunderstorms, and there could be some downpours, and highs will be up near 80 on Sunday. It's not a washed out day completely, but not necessarily a beach day, and that may be a good thing because rough surf and rip currents will be affecting all ocean beaches this weekend from Ernesto well offshore. And then on Monday, mostly cloudy and humid. There still is going to be some showers and thunderstorms around, about 80. Tuesday, the showers finally tapering down and some sunshine will return, staying in the mid-70s on Tuesday. Now for the city again, 81, humidity 60%.
Craig Allen, thank you. 5:20 at WCBS. 5:23 at WCBS on Drive Time. It's a dream come true for one Long Island teen. And we'll have more on that story coming up. But first, many parents are concerned about the effects of social media as their kids get ready to head back to school.
Heading into the start of a new school year, a mental health poll from the Kids Mental Health Foundation finds that over 50% of parents are concerned about social media. They say they're worried that their kids spend too much time with technology and on social media, that they're afraid it's going to stop them from connecting with teachers and from making meaningful connections with friends. Experts say this is especially concerning since kids do better at school when they feel they belong and they feel they're supported by their teachers. Cooper Lawrence, CBS News.
It is almost time to head back to school, and it's not just humans who are stressing out. Turns out pets can also have a hard time transitioning from the carefree summer schedule to spending more time home alone when the parents are at work or the kids are at school. Dr. Carly Fox is a senior veterinarian at the Schwartzman Animal Medical Center here in New York City.
It obviously depends on the animal, but I think a lot of them really do notice the change in routine. You know, I think animals, just like kids, are very used to a routine and thrive in a routine. And when that routine changes, they can definitely have some adjustment issues. So there is some things that you can do to hopefully make this transition back to school easier for you and also easier for your pets.
Dr. Fox recommends gradually reintroducing your pet to their new walking and feeding schedules. She also adds you should pet-proof your home to prevent accidents while everyone's away. And she says you and your kid should project good vibes to keep your pets calm during the day. Here's a dream come true for one Long Island teen who will be doing the play-by-play for Sunday's Yankees-Tigers game at the Little League World Series.
Chaminade High School sophomore Thomas Gamba says he has always wanted to work in sports.
I always wanted to be a general manager for like the Giants or the Knicks or some sports team, and I knew that was not a big possibility, and my parents always told me that like I would be good at broadcasting, but I didn't really have an opportunity.
The 16-year-old got the opportunity when he joined the school's sports media program last year. Gamba was chosen out of 8 finalists to announce Sunday night's Major League game for ESPN2's Kids Cast.
Not necessarily a Yankee fan. I'm more of like a New York sports fan, but it's just amazing and definitely really, really exciting.
Marla Diamond, WCBS 880 News.
5:25 on Drive Time. Money news from the CBiz Marks Paneth Business Desk. Here's Bloomberg's Erica Herskowitz.
Well, Michael, MasterCard says it's embarking on organizational changes, realigning businesses to accelerate growth and unlocking capacity, and that means exactly what you think it does. It's cutting jobs. MasterCard is reducing its global payroll by about about 3%. That works out to roughly 1,000 jobs. Meanwhile, there'll be job gains for Texas Instruments, although it will take a while. It's set to receive $1.6 billion in grants and another $3 billion in loans from the CHIPS Act, the program designed to boost American semiconductor manufacturing. The funding will help Texas Instruments pay for one factory in Utah and 2 in Texas. The effort is expected to generate about 2,000 manufacturing jobs and thousands more in construction. Stocks closed out the best week of gains since November. The Dow added 97 points. The Nasdaq gained 37. The S&P rose 11. With Money News at 25 and 55 on WCBS, I'm Bloomberg's Erica Herskowitz.
With Miller Mott College's online programs, you can choose when you study. Our online programs give you the flexibility to make education work with your schedule. Earn your degree without derailing your life. Visit us online at miller-mott.edu. That's miller-mott.edu.
Hey, fantasy football fans, this is Zach from Upper Hand Fantasy. You don't want an embarrassing tattoo just because you lost a bet in your fantasy football league, right? If you do, I suggest a mermaid holding a football, but let's avoid that altogether. Braz and I are here to get you ready for your fantasy football drafts with insights and advice. From sleepers to busts, we've got you covered to give you the upper hand on your friends. Start your fantasy football prep now. Join us and stay ahead of the competition. Follow and listen to Upper Hand Fantasy on the free Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcasts.
Is that your new Nissan Rogue?
Yeah. Crazy story. I'm at the Nissan end of summer sales event when Laura, the saleswoman, asks,
"Want to test drive the Rogue?"
I'm like, let's go. We're driving when Laura says,
"Want to see something cool? VC turbo engine."
I hit the gas and whoosh. I'm like, okay, wasn't expecting that. Laura goes,
"Check this out."
She shows me the miles per gallon and I'm like, wow, that's pretty impressive fuel economy.
These new Nissan Rogues are going fast.
I knew I had to have that Nissan Rogue. Crazy, right?
Wait till you hear how I got my Nissan Sentra. Get a low $269 per month lease for 36 months on Rogue. Shop the Nissan sales event. Visit your local Nissan store and nissanusa.com today. 2024 EPA fuel economy estimates from 28 city, 34 highway to 30 city, 37 highway for 2024 Nissan Rogue. Actual mileage may vary. Well-qualified lessees. 2024 Rogue Gas all-wheel drive. $47.49 initial payment. Excludes tax, title, license, and $695 acquisition fee. Disposition fee due at lease end. Take from new dealer stock. Call 1-888-858-8319 for offer details. Ends 9/3/24.
528 at WCBS on Drive Time. Traffic and weather together on the 8s. Here's Andre Farrow.
And we have a crash on the Brooklyn Bridge heading towards Manhattan mid-span, causing big delays. The Brooklyn Bridge heading towards Brooklyn is already very slow. We have big delays on the southbound side of the Gowanus heading down towards 39th Street. And the Brooklyn Battery Tunnel heading towards Manhattan is seeing big volume. Westbound delays on the Verrazano Bridge heading towards Staten Island, where you're passing Highland Boulevard and heading towards Victory Boulevard. It's bumper to bumper the entire stretch. The Goethals has been slow heading towards Staten Island. The Outer Bridge slow heading towards New Jersey. Now back in Queens and back to the delays eastbound on the BQE heading up towards Queens Boulevard. Those delays go all the way back to the Kosciuszko. We're very slow in the eastbound LIE from Woodhaven Boulevard and passing the fairgrounds and heading towards Casino Boulevard. Then more delays in Nassau County. Most of it is westbound, trying to get back to Queens from the Glen Cove Road area on the LIE heading west, and then the westbound Northern State Parkway from New High Park Road to the area of the fairgrounds, and heading all the way past the Alley Pond Park area. As you pass the North Shore Towers, you have that long-term road work there that's going to slow you down even more so. Andre Farrow, WCBS Traffic Center.
It will become mostly cloudy tonight. Right now it's still clear, although still somewhat hazy in spots. Low 68 to 74. The humidity is up. The surf is up, as they say, and rough surf and rip currents are going to be a problem at ocean beaches this weekend. It's not much of a beach weekend, though. Tomorrow's not too bad. Highs 80 to 85, chance of a shower. Sunday, though, has a chance for a few showers or a thunderstorm at times, and the high will be up near 80 degrees. And Ernesto is just a little more than 100 miles away from Bermuda, headed right towards the island. Right now in the city, we have a temperature of 81, humidity 60%.
Your radio home for Mets baseball.
Put it in the books!
This is WCBS 880 News.
Mayor Adams promises to cooperate after the FBI subpoenaed him in its campaign fundraising probe. Governor Murphy appoints his former chief of staff, George Helmy, to fill the Senate seat Bob Menendez is resigning from. Negotiators come up with a new ceasefire proposal for Israel and Hamas, but Hamas is unimpressed. We'll get analysis from CBS News military analyst Jeff McCausland in just a couple of minutes. And we'll take a closer look at Vice President Harris's newly announced economic agenda, which includes tax cuts for low and middle class families. Partly cloudy, 81 degrees. On Friday, August 16th, good afternoon. I'm Michael Wallace, 5:31 at WCBS on Drive Time. Mayor Adams and several aides have been served with 3 new grand jury subpoenas as the feds investigate possible corruption in his 2021 campaign. Our Mac Rosenberg has the latest.
The mayor says he's going to be transparent, cooperative, and respectful of the investigation from the Southern District of New York.
I comply with the rules of the city and the state of New York and our federal rules.
Chief Counsel Lisa Zornberg was asked what the feds are asking for in this second round of subpoenas, and she said that they really shouldn't be saying anything.
Their cover letter expressly requests that the recipient refrain from even acknowledging the existence of the subpoena.
To this point, she says no one has testified for a grand jury. The New York Times reports the feds are looking at if the mayor pressured the FDNY to approve a new Turkish consulate building despite safety concerns. At City Hall, Mac Rosenberg, WCBS 880 News.
In New Jersey, Governor Murphy is appointing his former chief of staff, George Helmy, to fill the vacancy left by the resignation of Senator Bob Menendez. Murphy says Helmy will serve until the winner of the general election is certified in late November, at which time Helmy will resign, and then the governor will appoint the election winner to the seat. Senator Menendez is set to resign next week, August 20th, after being convicted of federal corruption charges. He's also just announced he has officially withdrawn his name from the November ballot as an independent candidate. 5:32 at WCBS on Drive Time. The latest round of talks on a ceasefire and hostage release deal between Israel and Hamas wrapped up in Qatar today. The negotiators plan to meet again next week in Cairo. CBS News military analyst, retired Army Colonel Jeff McCausland, joins us on Drive Time. Jeff, the U.S., Egypt, and Qatar say they've presented both sides with a new proposal. Any idea what's in it?
We don't have a great deal. We know it's essentially the framework presented by President Biden a few months ago, and the hope is that if we can get both sides to agree, then lower-level officials will hammer out the remaining details that are of technical nature, such as the release of hostages, detainees, and the implementation of some of the humanitarian provisions. The key things, I think, are going to be, is this a temporary ceasefire or a permanent ceasefire? Hamas has leaned toward wanting a permanent ceasefire. Israelis more for a temporary ceasefire. There's been some argument about whether or not the Israelis have expanded on their demands for the negotiations, most notably that Israel has insisted on control of the so-called Philadelphia corridor, which is basically the southern border of the Gaza Strip, where it crosses into Egypt and the Rafah crossing point.
Yeah, it sounds like, at least early on here, Hamas isn't thrilled with what's on the table right now. They liked a previous version better, right?
That's exactly right. They claim that, of course, this current version does not align with earlier frameworks. But, of course, they were not direct participants in these particular negotiations, which were indirect anyway. It was led by the United States, Qatar, Egypt, with the Israelis present. Now Hamas have their offices and headquarters in Qatar, so they were being appraised of these ongoing negotiations, but were not necessarily directly participating.
Jeff, I know you're a military guy and not a diplomat per se, but do you see any ceasefire or even a permanent peace deal lasting? I mean, this has been going on for so long. I hate to be so pessimistic, but what's the realistic outcome here?
Well, we got to understand this is, again, a ceasefire. And then the old question has to be asked, which we used to say in Washington was most infrequently asked, which is, and then what? Mm-hmm. What happens after that? The application of military force is a means to an end. So as a consequence, I think the Israelis in particular have got to sit down and say, okay, what is the longer term solution? Are we going to physically occupy the Gaza Strip? In which case, you're going to be set by an insurgency that will be continuous and ongoing, and you're going to tie up 20 to 40,000 Israeli soldiers almost permanently. Or are you going to move towards some kind of a political solution whereby the Palestinians would have some representation, probably through the Palestinian Authority or some other group, and hopefully then sometime in the future realize what has been long sought after, and that is some form of a Palestinian state that can live in peace alongside of Israel.
Now, Jeff, we have the World Health Organization calling for a 7-day pause in the war so they can get hundreds of thousands of Palestinian kids vaccinated against polio, which has been found in the wastewater in Gaza. Just a reminder, I guess, that people don't just get hurt or killed from the fighting in wars. There's a lot of tentacles.
And this conflict has certainly underscored that to the max. Of the 2.2 million people living in Gaza, it's estimated Nearly 2 million have been displaced, and some misplaced multiple times. There's a total lack of sanitation, clean water. The hospital medical facilities are almost totally destroyed. So this is really a society at the brink in terms of any types of epidemics, starvation, etc., based on the conduct of this war.
Jeff, it's been 2 weeks since Israel took out that Hamas leader with an airstrike. Israel still hasn't denied or taken responsibility for that. But are you surprised that Iran has yet to retaliate against Israel for that, as it said it would?
Somewhat, but again, if you look back to April, where they threatened to respond after a couple of Iranian Revolutionary Guard generals were killed in Syria, they waited about 2 weeks to get a response in place. So they've given up, if you will, strategic surprise, but they haven't given up operational surprise, that being exactly when they were going to respond and how are they going to respond. Just one overwhelming attack like they tried the last time, which didn't work too well. A phased attack involving not only their forces, but perhaps other members of the Islamic resistance group, most notably Hezbollah in southern Lebanon, who also suffered the loss of a senior Hezbollah military leader who was assassinated by Israel. Could include the Houthis, could include the West Bank, etc. And of course, the where and how. They could decide to attack so-called Israeli strong points elsewhere in the Middle East, or they could attack an embassy or somewhere else around the world, as well as the real possibility of a direct strike on the Israeli homeland.
CBS News military analyst, retired Army Colonel Jeff McCausland. Jeff, as we wind things down here at WCBS, I just want to thank you for being such an invaluable source and guest over the years. We really appreciate all your insight.
Michael, it has been a true honor and a pleasure to work with you and the whole team at WCBS. There has never been, to my mind, in the 20-plus years that I've been involved in this business, a more distinguished and professional bunch of journalists. God bless you all, and I wish you all the best in the future.
Thank you, Jeff. Take care. 5:38 at WCBS on Drive Time. Traffic and weather together on the 8th. Andre Ferro in the traffic center.
Yeah, let's go to Suffolk County. We've been avoiding that kind of because there's so much going on locally in the boroughs. But yeah, eastbound Southern State Parkway approaching the Saginaw Coast. Looks like we have a disabled vehicle there. Then there's more trouble on the eastbound LIE in Suffolk County between the Saginaw Coast and Route 111. Looks like some activity, possible disabled vehicle as well. The southbound Saginaw Coast is slow heading down towards Pine Air Drive, and you're slow on the westbound Southern State Parkway entering Nassau County as you make your way over by 110 in Amityville. More delays on the eastbound westbound Southern State between Eagle Avenue and the Wands Hall, and the typical stuff now heading eastbound over by Glen Cove Road, but westbound in Nassau County is very slow getting back into Queens on the northern and the LIE, basically from New Hyde Park Road all the way to the Queens border and approaching the Clearview. You're going to need a lot of time. If you're traveling on the southbound side of the Cross Bronx, we have delays, or I should say the southbound side of the Bronx River Parkway heading down to the Cross Bronx. Delays right around Allerton Avenue heading past the zoo. Bumper-to-bumper action there in the south and northbound side of 95 right around Bartow Avenue. You're going to be tapping the brakes heavy there. Now, the inbound George, still 40 minutes. Outbound, still about 45 as well. The approaches are all slow. And the outbound Lincoln and Holland, you're going to still need 25 minutes at least. Andre Ferro, WCBS Traffic Center.
Forecast from Craig Allen calls for a cloudy night coming up tonight. Humid, too. Lows around 70. And then tomorrow, humid with a chance of a couple of showers. 85 for the high. Maybe a thunderstorm tomorrow night. Sunday, more showers and thunderstorms, especially later in the day. A humid 80 for Sunday. Monday, much of the same. Still 80 and still some showers and thunderstorms. We might finally see the sun again on Tuesday with a high in the cooler mid-70s. Right now, radar is pretty clear. 81 in Oyster Bay. It's 86 in Patterson. Here in Lower Manhattan, 81 degrees at 5:40 at WCBS. Vice President Harris rolled out her economic agenda today. We'll have more on that next on Drive Time.
This is the only place on your radio to hear every Mets game.
Deep left field. This one is gone.
WCBS 880 and on the free Odyssey app.
Get ready.
Hey, y'all, it's Lainey Wilson.
Lainey Wilson's album Whirlwind drops August 23rd. Watch Lainey perform songs from Whirlwind and answer questions live from the Beach House in San Diego, August 23rd, 10 Eastern, 9 Central, 7 Pacific on Odyssey.com/Lainey. Then listen as Lainey plays all her hits and shares the stories behind the music on a Whirlwind weekend exclusively on this Odyssey Country Station.
40 days up to 40 pounds. Say it with me, 40 days up to 40 pounds. That's how much you could lose when you join NJ Diet, because NJ Diet only takes 40 days to lose 20 to 40 plus pounds. With NJ Diet's contractually guaranteed money-back program, you have absolutely nothing to worry about. NJ Diet is 100% tailored to you by using bioenergetically personalized supplements based on your hair, saliva, and blood work. Then NJ Diet uses DNA testing to create your ideal diet plan and workout regimen to help you keep it off for the rest of your life. 40 days up to 40 pounds can be a real thing. Unlike other weight loss systems, NJ Diet is all natural. No shots, no hormones, no pre-packaged foods, and no surgery. With offices throughout the tri-state area or worldwide with live online video consultations. Visit njdiet.com or call 855-5NJ-DIET. That's 855-5NJ-DIET. 40 days up to 40 pounds. 40 days up to 40.
Our lives aren't like they used to be. They're busier. Early morning Zooms, grabbing coffee to make that in-office meeting, getting to your kid's soccer game on time. Life is different, and so is advertising. To reach any audience, you need your message out there in all media, broadcast to streaming, on screens, and right to the ears of your customers. And that's what we do at Odyssey. Let's build a media campaign that targets the customers you know and want to reach more of, right here in our community. Advertise with Odyssey. Visit ads.odyssey.com.
542 at WCBS on Drive Time. Vice President Kamala Harris laid out her economic policies during a speech this afternoon in the battleground state of North Carolina. Jeff Stein, the White House economics reporter for The Washington Post, is joining us on Drive Time. So, Jeff, what did the Vice President lay out today? What were some of those policies?
So the biggest policies that the Vice President laid out for the first time today included a $25,000 credit for first-time homebuyers, canceling medical debt for millions of people, and a $6,000 credit, child tax credit for newborns in the first year of life to families, as well as measures to cap prescription drug prices and new anti-price gouging measures in the grocery and food industries.
So a lot of this seemingly geared toward, shall we say, the low and middle class?
I think that's a fair assessment. Obviously, Republicans and conservatives will dispute that and argue that, in fact, these measures will be counterproductive and drive up prices, particularly when you look at the housing subsidy that the Harris campaign is now talking about. Some economists say that that would actually just increase prices because if everyone has more money to buy their home, homeowners can just increase what they charge.
Presidential candidates promising tax cuts. That's nothing new. However, what about this call for building all this new housing? That's a little different these days.
Yeah, it's the victory of the YIMBY. It's the complete and total capture of the Democratic Party by what was once really a relatively small group of people within the party arguing that essentially restrictive zoning and red tape and other sort of impediments to building more and more housing was causing a major crisis in American life and driving up the prices. So, for all the economists hand-wringing about this subsidy that I mentioned too, many economists applauded the Harris measures to increase the supply of housing, which, if successful, would obviously result in lower prices for many Americans.
How about the proposed federal help in first-time homebuyers paying for their down payment? That's something that's probably not going to go over very well on the other side of the aisle.
Yeah, it's hard to see many Republicans getting behind that. And even some Democrats that I was texting with today seemed quite skeptical. Some of them sort of suggesting, if this is what she has to say to win the election, it's not that big a deal, but they kind of expect other priorities to emerge should Harris prevail and Democrats control Congress next year.
So in general, Jeff, how would Kamala Harris's economic agenda compare against what we know of President Trump's plans for his possible second term?
The big thing that we've really heard more and more from the Trump campaign recently is talk of big tariffs. And people remember from Trump's first term that he imposed all these tariffs, particularly on China, but also on Mexico and Canada at some points, on European countries, that increase sort of the cost of imports. Trump says that it increases domestic production, increases American jobs. But many economists think that these plans just increase the cost of goods throughout the economy. And Trump has really, he flirted even this week with a massive increase in his tariff plan to impose tariffs as high as 20% on all imports. Today, Kamala Harris referred to this as essentially a sales tax, a national sales tax on all Americans, And what we're seeing instead from the Harris campaign is more explicit promises to offer cash and other tax benefits to people lower down the income distribution, as you were referring. But she's going, not quite as far as, Bernie Sanders or Elizabeth Warren might have gone towards, using the power of the state, the power of the government to control certain industries. So a very sort of populist left-leaning policy, but not quite as far as some on the left may have wanted.
Yeah, probably, and certainly by design, right, Jeff? I mean, it certainly seems like the Harris campaign is trying to woo those former Trump voters who maybe think they're not willing to vote for him again, but they're, maybe they're a little more conservative when it comes to economics. It's kind of a fine line she's trying to toe here.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think one thing you're going to hear from the Harris people over and over again is that they have a plan to lower costs. And of course, the biggest thing that Republicans were so excited to run on, that all the Trump advisors I talked to were upset about when he dropped out, was that voters associated Biden with the fastest inflation we've seen in 4 decades, which has calmed a lot, but is still present in many voters' minds. The Harris people seem to be very determined. I mean, it almost seems like their number one priority, or among their top priorities at this point, to do whatever they can to just create a little bit of space between Biden's sort of association with these price hikes and her economic agenda. But whether that will work in the fall, have to see.
Was there anything she left out today in your mind? Any certain economic agenda or policy that you were surprised was not in there?
I was a little surprised that she didn't talk about childcare, paid family leave, or pre-K. These are some of the ideas that my sense from sources and from people who have worked with her that she's very committed to, sort of creating the family support. And she did take a step in that direction with this enhanced child tax credit. I'd also heard from some sources that the Harris campaign had looked at some sort of really big tax cut for businesses or for lower income families to kind of distance herself from the left, to say, she's not a Bernie Sanders person and she's not an Elizabeth Warren person. And while she, didn't embrace exactly the Bernie or Warren agenda, she didn't really do a pivot to the center either. So those advisors, I think, were left wondering if that could come at a later date, or sort of why Harris didn't feel the need to do sort of a Clinton triangulation to the center.
Good observations from Jeff Stein, White House economics reporter at The Washington Post. Good to talk to you, Jeff. Thank you.
My pleasure. Thanks so much.
5:48 at WCBS on Drive Time. Traffic and weather together on the 8s in the traffic center. Andre Farrow.
It looks like we have stopped traffic on the westbound BQE right by the Atlantic Avenue area, so just west of the Brooklyn Bridge. I mean, the traffic is not moving at all. It almost goes back to the Williamsburg and the exit 32 ramp. So that's what you're dealing with there. The Brooklyn Battery Tunnel heading towards Manhattan remains a very slow ride. The Brooklyn Bridge, Brooklyn bound, bumper-to-bumper deal there. More trouble across the Mario Cuomo Tappan Zee Bridge. It's mostly volume, but again, from Elmsford, really all the way from Elmsford all the way to the Palisades Mall and heading past the Palisades Parkway, it's pretty much a slow go. Now, if you're traveling on the eastbound Southern State Parkway in Nassau County, you have delays right around the Wantagh, but look out for a disabled vehicle approaching the Sagticos as you travel in Suffolk County. Westbound belt delays from Flatbush to Cross Bay, and eastbound, I should say, from Flatbush to Cross Bay. Westbound from Flatbush to the Verrazano is a bumper-to-bumper deal. The westbound Staten Island Expressway remains very slow from Highland to Victory, and northbound delays on the Garden State Parkway heading up towards Clark. Andre Farrow, WCBS Traffic Center.
It's a very warm, humid evening around here again. The humidity has come up pretty substantially, and it sticks with us right through the weekend. Also very hazy out there again this evening as the leftover smoke. That'll get pushed aside this weekend, but the smoke from the Canadian wildfires is up there in the sky, and it's 81 and going down to 68 to 74 overnight. Also, at the beaches, the surf is getting very rough, and rip currents are going to increase, and it's just not going to be an easy weekend at the shore. The weather's not that great for Sunday especially. Tomorrow, though, there is some dry time, highs 80 to 85. A shower or thunderstorm possible late Saturday night, and even more so on Sunday. And again, the rip current risk and the rough surf looks like it'll be at its worst on Sunday. That's the closest approach of Ernesto offshore. Monday, mostly cloudy and humid. A few showers, a thunderstorm still around, highs near 80. And even Tuesday has a chance of thunderstorms till at least midday. It's 81, humidity 60%. We have a southerly wind at 13.
Thank you, Craig Allen. And then there's Hurricane Ernesto. We'll have the latest on that next on Drive Time.
Fantasy freaks and geeks, what's cracking? It's your boy James Coe, back with my brand new project, the Sleeper King Football Podcast. Look, I get it, okay? There's a lot of fantasy pods out there, but we're going to keep this one light, 15 to 20 minutes, 4 to 5 times a week, and man, we are going to pack it with all the info you need. Season-long, weekly projections, and of course, sleepers. Follow and listen to the Sleeper King Football Podcast on the free Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcasts.
Retired or retiring soon? How much money do you need to live comfortably? Retirement Planners of America is here for you. Would you like to have financial peace of mind? Here's how. Step 1. Find out the amount of money you'll need to retire. Step 2. Have a plan to get there. Step 3. Make sure that plan can take advantage of market gains but protect you from market losses. Discover how to do all three with a free consultation at 800-508-6108. That's 800-508-6108.
All investments involve risk, including losses. Past performance does not guarantee future results.
Getting quality employees to fill positions in your company is essential, but finding those people can be a major hassle unless you use ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter makes finding quality people a breeze. ZipRecruiter's advanced technology identifies candidates with the right skills, sends you great matches, then you can easily invite them to apply. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. See for yourself. Go to ZipRecruiter.com/free to try ZipRecruiter for free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
With Miller Mott College's online programs, you can choose when you study. Our online programs give you the flexibility to make education work with your schedule. Earn your degree without derailing your life. Visit us online at miller-mott.edu. That's miller-mott.edu.
Your brand deserves better than one-size-fits-all branded clothing. Lands' End Outfitters creates apparel your team will want to wear, backed by above-and-beyond expertise. Go to business.landsend.com/pod20 and use code POD20 for 20% off your first product.
Hey, fantasy football fans, do you want to be the owner who was doing a cram session the night before the draft? I didn't think so. You need to start your prep now. This is Faraz from Upper Hand Fantasy. Zach and I are here to get you ready for your fantasy football drafts with insights and advice. From sleepers to busts, we've got you covered and give you the upper hand on your friends. Today is the day to start getting ready for the draft, so join us and stay ahead of the competition. Follow and listen to Upper Hand Fantasy on the free Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcasts.
I'm Bob Burke, founder and chairman of Burke America Parts Group, a family of brands that includes RepairClinic.com, an appliance and HVAC parts solution company that's grown into an international brand. Before AmericanEagle.com, we partially launched a new technology platform developed by another firm. American Eagle helped take our technology to a whole new level with digital marketing, software development, and business insights into our key markets, appliances, HVAC, and outdoor power equipment, and did so both on time and on budget. AmericanEagle.com has the resources, experience, and talent needed to produce solutions. Our new technology platform, developed by AmericanEagle.com, has produced tremendous results with higher traffic, conversion, engagement, and online revenue. If you have any home repairs you need to take care of, check us out at RepairClinic.com. If you need a world-class website or technology project, then I would highly recommend AmericanEagle.com.
Call AmericanEagle.com at 773-NETWORK. That's AmericanEagle.com, 773-NETWORK.
5:54 on Drive Time. All eyes on Hurricane Ernesto as it heads toward Bermuda tonight with a lot of rain and strong winds.
Julissa said despite the heat, she's not going in the water. Instead, I found her sunning herself at Rockaway Beach. She said the water is just too rough. She doesn't want to be caught in a riptide. She said her son already had one mishap in the ocean Thursday.
The water was really rough. There's a lot of seashells and rocks on the floor. My son actually got like a little seashell or a little rock in his eye, and we were here at the boardwalk with EMS because they had to flush his eye with saline. It was really bad.
Hurricane Ernesto is passing to the east of us, and while Bermuda is likely to get the brunt of it with high winds, it will affect us. There is a high risk of rip currents or rip tides from now until Saturday at 9 p.m. In Rockaway Beach, Carol Diori at WCBS 880 News.
At 5:55 on Drive Time, money news from the CBiz Marks Paneth Business Desk. Here's Bloomberg's Erica Herskowitz.
New home construction surprised analysts and fell last month to the lowest level since the aftermath of the pandemic. Housing starts were down 6.8% with a big drop in single-family units. Despite the disappointing snapshot on housing, overall consumer sentiment is improving. The University of Michigan's sentiment index rose early this month for the first time in 5 months. Confidence rebounded among Democrats after Vice President President Kamala Harris stepped in as the new party nominee. A new analysis shows that mothers can miss out on over $500,000 in earnings across a 30-year career. Bankrate finds that women who are mothers earn 31% less in wages than fathers did in 2023. That added up to the significant figure across an entire career, assuming wages are the same. A flurry of data showing U.S. economic resilience drove stocks to their best week this year. The Dow gained 97 points, the Nasdaq added 37, the S&P rose 11. With Money News at 25 and 55 on WCBS, I'm Bloomberg's Erica Herskowitz.
CBiz Marks Panic, the New York area's premier accounting, tax, and advisory firm.
Baseball is in full swing. NBA playoffs are heating up, and your NFL team is gearing up for training camp. Listen to the latest on the teams you love here on the Odyssey app. The biggest sports radio stations in the country, providing unrivaled local coverage of their teams, all in one place. Exclusive interviews with players, coaches, and team executives, streaming live and always available on demand. Stay in the know with your favorite teams right here on the Odyssey app.
This is the story of the one. As a warehouse manager, her job is to transform chaos into clarity and to see patterns where others see problems. Luckily, she's got a partner who shares her perspective. Grainger offers over 1 million industrial-grade products, backed by real-person support and in-depth online resources, so she can tackle every task with precision and turn potential setbacks into streamlined success. Call clickgrainger.com or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
This year, Dell Technologies' Back to School event is delivering impressive tech with an inspiring purpose. Learn how Dell is helping Computer Aid, whose work is helping solar community hubs with tech and AI literacy skills to empower remote, displaced, or disconnected communities around the world. Help Dell make a difference and shop AI-ready PCs powered by Snapdragon X Series processors at Dell.com/deals. That's Dell.com/deals.
5:58 at WCBS on Drive Time. With traffic and weather together, here's Andre Ferris.
So we have some debris on the road on the northbound Garden State Parkway right around exit 98, and that's causing some big delays. Now, if you're traveling on the northbound Garden State Parkway over in Clark, we have delays, and then more delays over by Irvington heading up towards 280. It's bumper to bumper, basically from 78 up to 280. Now, if you're traveling on the westbound BQ...
Delivering her economic plan during a speech in Raleigh, North Carolina.
We should be doing everything we can to make it more affordable to buy a home, not less.
CBS's Willie James Inman with more on the Harris plan.
She's calling for the first ever federal ban on price gouging for food and groceries. New policies to spur home building, including offering up to $25,000 for first-time home buyers to use as a down payment, and an expansion of the child tax credit.
Former President Trump raising eyebrows again about his comments on military service, even those who serve valiantly. CBS's Heather Bosch explains.
Mr. Trump says the Presidential Medal of Freedom, a civilian honor, is, quote, much better than the Medal of Honor, which is bestowed on service members, because those receiving the military's highest honor are often badly wounded or dead. The former president made the remarks at a campaign event yesterday. It's drawing criticism from those who say he has a history of making disparaging remarks about those who serve.
The U.S. Supreme Court has declined to let the Biden administration enforce a key part of a new rule protecting LGBTQ students from discrimination based on gender identity. 10 Republican-led states challenged it. The administration wanted to partially lift lower court injunctions that blocked the entirety of the rule, expanding protections under Title IX. That's a law that bars sex discrimination in federally funded education programs. Beware of riptides. That's what this lifeguard says in Jones Beach, New York, as Hurricane Ernesto is charging toward Bermuda.
If you're not a very strong swimmer, all of a sudden you get out and you're triple the distance that you could stand and you're stuck out there trying to save your life.
Ernesto is expected to make its way up the East Coast this weekend. California Governor Gavin Newsom has signed a package of bills targeting organized retail theft and other property crimes, which will include stricter punishments for repeat offenders.
The issue that is front and center in the consciousness of so many Californians. You see it online, social media, you see it on the nightly news. This goes to the heart of the issue, and it does it in a thoughtful and judicious way.
This is CBS News.
Sponsored by Progressive Insurance. We offer auto, home, and commercial auto insurance, plus a variety of business insurance options. Visit Progressive.com today.
This is RWJ Barnabas Health Mets Game Night on WCBS 880. RWJ Barnabas Health. Let's be healthy together. Visit rwjbh.org.
Partly sunny, kind of hazy, and 80 here in Lower Manhattan. Good evening. Welcome to the RWJ Barnabas Health Mets Game Night. I'm Michael Wallace. Mets welcome the Marlins to Citi Field tonight for the start of a 3-game series with Miami. Sean Manaea gets the start for the Mets against Miami's Roddery Munoz. But first, our top news stories here on WCBS. Governor Murphy today named his longtime chief of staff to fill the Senate seat being vacated by Bob Menendez. Our Marla Diamond has the story.
Much of the governor's announcement centered upon restoring the public's trust in its elected leaders. George Helmy will serve until the voters choose a new senator in November.
If nothing else, in my short time in office, I hope to begin to restore a small measure of faith and belief in the honor of public service. Then I believe I've done the job correctly.
Murphy passed over the frontrunner, Congressman Andy Kim, for the appointment after Kim's bruising primary with Murphy's wife, Tammy.
A lot of the press, and I'm not accusing anybody of this, would imply that there's sort of some middle school drama with me and Andy Kim, which is just not true. I had a very pleasant conversation with him this morning.
Kim is running against hotelier Curtis Bashaw, an openly gay Republican. In Newark, Marla Diamond, WCBS 880 News.
The day after a second FBI subpoena, Mayor Adams still isn't saying very much about it. The latest from WCBS's Mac Rosenberg.
The only clear answers we got from the mayor about this investigation are that he's going to cooperate, he did nothing wrong, and he's not going to spend the whole day being asked about it.
And no matter what we say, you're going to write the story the way you want. So we take a few more questions, and then I got to bounce.
The big questions remain: what are the feds asking for? And what have they found, given that this is the second round of subpoenas?
I follow the rules, and I'm going to continue to do so.
The mayor's team is being careful about leaking details. Chief Counsel Lisa Zornberg says on the front page of that subpoena, it says to not even acknowledge its existence.
We've been very respectful of SDNY's process and will respond.
The feds are looking at whether or not the mayor colluded with the Turkish government for illegal campaign donations. At City Hall, Mac Rosenberg, WCBS 880 News.
6:05 on Mets Game Night. Monday, the MTA will begin issuing summonses to drivers who block bus lanes or bus stops. Up until now, the agency has been issuing warnings. The first fine will be $50. Repeat offenders could be fined as much as $250. 14 bus routes and 623 buses are already equipped with cameras to catch bus lane blockers. More than 1,000 buses will have the cameras by the end of the year. Offenders will be mailed their summonses. The hunt is on for the robbers who burglarized dozens of businesses in the city.
The NYPD is turning up the heat to find the masked men who have carried out the crime spree since March. There have been at least 40 burglaries in Brooklyn, the Bronx, and Queens. So the police have now released a video. It shows them carrying an ATM out of a bodega and putting it right in a getaway vehicle. They've also released photos of 3 or 4 suspects. In one photo, a burglar is seen lugging around a compact circular saw, doing whatever it takes to get the money. Most of the burglaries have occurred in the overnight time period, with the thieves getting in by breaking windows. Queens has had the most burglaries, 29, followed by the Bronx and Brooklyn. Check out our website to see the video and the photos. In Queens, Carol Diori at WCBS 880 News.
Suffolk County is now home to the state's first human trafficking court focused on children. Our WCBS Long Island Bureau Chief Sophia Hall has details.
It's a reality no one wants to think about. Suffolk County Judge Andrew Krekka says children as young as 11 years old becoming the victims of human trafficking here in the county.
There are certain zones or areas, I should say, where child human trafficking is worse than others. And Long Island is one of those areas.
Krekka says to combat the problem, the first juvenile human trafficking court in New York State has opened up in Suffolk.
We're identifying children who have either been trafficked or are at high risk of being trafficked, and then bringing them into this court and really taking a multidisciplinary approach to meeting and formulating a treatment plan.
So far, 30 young people are receiving the help they need. In Suffolk County, Sophia Hall, WCBS 880 News.
6:08 at WCBS. Game night traffic and weather together with a look at the Hudson River crossing, sponsored by RWJ Barnabas Health. Let's be healthy together. Visit rwjbh.org. Here's Andre Farrow.
And we can start with the George Washington Bridge inbound. Still a solid 40 minutes. Outbound, you're looking at about the same. The Whitestone Bridge heading towards City Field, seeing big volume. And then you have delays on the southbound Whitestone Expressway heading towards the entrance to City Field. You need some time there. Or if you're using the Triborough Bridge heading towards City Field, again, slow across the span and passing Steinway Street and Hoyt Avenue. You're going to need some time passing LaGuardia as well. Holland Tunnel outbound, that's going to cost you still a good 25 minutes, about the same at the outbound Lincoln. Inbound, both are slower because you have delays at the approaches. Eastbound 495, eastbound 139 through Jersey City is very slow. Huge delays on the eastbound westbound LIE between Maurice Avenue and the Fairgrounds, and then more trouble on the eastbound BQE, a disabled vehicle heading up towards Queens Boulevard that's slowing you down. Look out for slowdowns on that westbound BQE over by Atlantic Avenue, where we had stopped traffic for a few minutes, and you have delays that go back to the exit 32 ramp. Slow on the eastbound side of the Belt Parkway from Flatbush Avenue to Cross Bay, and then more delays now on the westbound Southern State Parkway heading towards Valley Stream and approaching the Cross Island Parkway. Big delays leaving JFK Airport heading up towards the Van Wyck and making your way up towards the Kew Gardens interchange. Andre Farrow, WCBS Traffic Center.
It's 80, and it's definitely more humid out there. Tonight's low will be about 68 suburbs to 74 in the city. A little bit more uncomfortable now. Right on through the weekend, the humidity will run high. Not much of a chance of a shower or thunderstorm tomorrow, but there is that chance, but not many around. Tomorrow's high 80 to 85. More so, though, Saturday night and Sunday. Sunday will be mostly cloudy, still quite humid, with a shower or thunderstorm at just about any time, especially, though, afternoons and evenings, and highs will be up near 80 degrees. Also be aware, rough surf, rip current risk is high at all ocean beaches now right through the weekend. It's 80, humidity 59%. We have a southeast wind 10 miles per hour.
Thank you, Craig Allen. 6:10 at WCBS on the Mets RWJ Barnabas Health Game Night. Let's be healthy together. Visit rwjbh.org.
Get your laugh on with me, Chris Jericho, and the Talk is Jericho podcast. We've got Guns N' Roses Hall of Famer Duff McKagan and his joke of the week every Friday, plus regular visits from the hilarious Brad Williams and special appearances by everyone from Gabriel Fluffy Iglesias, Mark Maron, Dennis Miller, Cheech Marin, Kevin Nealon. If they're funny, they're on Talk is Jericho. So listen to and follow Talk is Jericho now on the free Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcasts.
Do you suffer from sleep issues that are robbing you of the quality of life you deserve? Well, you are not alone. Over 70 million Americans struggle with recurring sleep issues. Now, after years of scientific research, the Super Patch Company is offering a limited-time 30-day risk-free trial for our 100% drug-free REM Super Patch with no melatonin and no CBD. Now you sleep like never before and finally enjoy that calm, restful sleep you've been looking for. This innovative drug-free solution is designed to help you fall asleep faster, stay asleep longer, and wake up less during the night. Now you can wake up refreshed, ready to conquer the day without the morning after grogginess from other sleep products. Not available in stores. Claim your 30-day risk-free trial today.
Visit supersleep.com to claim your 30-day risk-free trial now, or call 800-954-0615. Call right now for your 30-day risk-free trial at 800-954-0615. Again, 800-954-0615.
Baseball is in full swing. NBA playoffs are heating up, and your NFL team is gearing up for training camp. Listen to the latest on the teams you love here on the Odyssey app. The biggest sports radio stations in the country, providing unrivaled local coverage of their teams, all in one place. Exclusive interviews with players, coaches, and team executives, streaming live and always available on demand. Stay in the know with your favorite teams right here on the Odyssey app.
Want to keep your gas-powered engines running like new? Stable's proprietary formulas are proven by third-party testing to outperform the competition in keeping fuel fresh, preventing corrosion, and cleaning the entire fuel system. With Stable, you can have confidence you're doing the right thing for your engine's long-term health. Just pour into your gas can or fuel tank, then top off with fresh fuel. At every fill-up or when you store, start with Stable. Available where fuel additives are sold.
What's wrong?
My travel rewards card didn't earn enough miles for my vacation.
Are you crying? Are you crying because of that other credit card?
Uh-huh.
Well, switch to the Capital One Venture card. Venture lets you redeem miles on any travel purchase.
Really?
Yep, and you earn unlimited double miles on every purchase every single day. The Capital One Venture card. What's in your wallet?
Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com for details.
It's RWJ Barnabas Health Mets Game Night on WCBS 880.
Mets and Marlins tonight at Citi Field, the first of three for the weekend series. Our pregame coming up at 6:30 here on WCBS. Investigators are worried about a new drug showing up at nightclubs in New York City. It's called pink cocaine. The city's special narcotics prosecutor, Brigitte Quinn, is joining us on Drive Time. Brigitte, always good to have you on. So is pink coke exactly what it sounds like, or is there more to it than that?
The one thing you can probably count on with something being sold as pink cocaine is that it very likely doesn't contain any cocaine at all.
Wow.
Based on the cases we have run, and we've run probably close to a dozen of them now, usually once the laboratory report is completed, it comes back as most often ketamine. It's usually mixed with a bunch of other substances. It's pink, and it's a white powder originally, maybe, but it generally does. If it contains cocaine, it contains some cocaine, but mostly it's other substances.
Does it come in a powder form?
Yes. Generally speaking, what we have seen is in a powder form. We see it sold in little glassine envelopes often, or twists, and it's bright pink. It's looking like a party drug. Our guess is that it's most frequently sold for people who are going to clubs or for that kind of a scene. And it's billed as cocaine. Cocaine, as you know, is it's an upper. It makes people feel very animated. And the effect of ketamine is actually just the opposite. It has an aesthetic effect, sort of a sedative effect, and in very high doses, as it has been found in some of these products we've recovered, it can knock people out. It has the opposite effect as cocaine. When you have two drugs pulling in two different directions is pretty damaging. And so I would really, really caution anybody who thinks they're buying pink cocaine to be well aware that what they're going to get is very, very likely not cocaine, not something that they're accustomed to.
When you have tested this pink cocaine, has the chemical makeup always been about the same, or does it vary widely from dose to dose?
It varies widely from dose to dose. We most frequently find ketamine, but we find all kinds of other substances as well. Methamphetamine, other kinds of sedating substances. Primarily, I would say ketamine is the one we find most often.
The fact that there's so many different chemical makeups, does that lead you to believe that there's more than one or two people making this stuff? Do you have any idea where it's coming from?
Oh, yeah. It is definitely, there's more than one or two people making it. From what we've seen, sometimes we've recovered it in connection with the recovery of other narcotic drugs, and it might be an incidental recovery. We might be looking for fentanyl or believe that we're going to be recovering fentanyl at a certain location, and we end up recovering that substance, the fentanyl, maybe in a bag, and then separately some pink cocaine.
Boy, so there's that pink cocaine, which sounds pretty dangerous. And then there's still the real cocaine. I understand you've made a big bust in a tractor trailer in the Bronx. Tell us about that.
There was a truck that had what we call a trap, a concealed compartment, and it was carrying 360 pounds of cocaine.
Wow.
Cross country. We're still investigating the route and whether the truck made any other stops, obviously. And that truck was being driven by two drivers, and it was met by a Jeep. That Jeep was later found to contain $30,000 worth of cash. and the Jeep seemed to be directing the truck to a different location. And that's when the investigators moved in based on information that they had. We got a search warrant for it, and that was our recovery. But what this does reflect, Michael, is something that we've been seeing a lot of, which is a lot more cocaine coming into the city. There's been increased production of cocaine both in Colombia and refining of it in Central America. And we're just seeing a whole lot more come in to the U.S. and certainly in through New York City. And it's a trend that they're also seeing in Europe, where they've been seeing increasing amounts of cocaine there as well.
360 pounds of cocaine in that trailer. What's the street value on that?
Well, they put it at more than $4 million. Oof. If you break it into tiny envelopes, each time somebody breaks down the load and sells it to somebody in the chain that's involved in drug trafficking, everybody adds their profit into it. So by the time it hits the street, it's worth multiple times that.
Sure. Boy, a very busy New York City Special Narcotics Prosecutor, Brigitte Brennan. Thank you so much for joining us and updating us on all this, and keep up the good fight.
Thank you very much, Michael.
6:18 at WCBS on Mets Game Night. Game Night traffic and weather together on the 8th, sponsored by the Rothenberg Law Firm. Go to injurylawyer.com. Here's Andre Farrell.
And you're going to need some time on that southbound Whitestone Expressway if you're heading towards the ballpark right now. Looks like a disabled vehicle right around Linden Place, and delays go all the way back to the midspan area of the Whitestone Bridge. Plus, you're slow on the eastbound side of the Grand Central Parkway and westbound as you pass LaGuardia Airport over by 94th Street. More delays on the Triborough heading into Queens and approaching Steinway Street. You're going to need a lot of extra time there. It's been a tough go of it, as per usual, on the westbound cross Bronx, bumper to bumper, as you travel from the Bronx River Parkway to the Alex. I mean, it's not budging at all. Inbound George Washington Bridge, still a solid 40 minutes, at least 40 minutes of the inbound Lincoln and Holland. Outbound, you're going to need at least 20 minutes. Still seeing big delays on the eastbound BQE back in Queens as you approach Queens Boulevard. Andre Farrow, WCBS Traffic Center.
No threat of rain at Citi Field. It is a warm, muggy night, and temperatures will drop off to about 68 to 74 by morning. Variably cloudy and humid for Saturday. There is a shower or two in the forecast tomorrow. Highs 80 to 85. It's not a rained out day at all. But it's not the best of Saturdays. It's not going to be as sunny as it was today, that's for sure. And then Saturday night, scattered showers, possibly a thunderstorm. More so on Sunday. Again, not a completely rained out day, but a much better chance of showers or thunderstorms. Highs near 80. And maybe that's a good thing. Keep the beach attendants down, because rough surf and rip currents are going to be quite dangerous at the ocean beaches this weekend. Monday, mostly cloudy and humid. A few showers, thunderstorms still around, about 80. And Tuesday, lingering showers, giving way to some sun in the afternoon. A little cooler, mid-70s on Tuesday. City's at 80 right now, humidity 59%, and a southeast wind.
Thank you, Craig Allen in the WCBS Weather Center. 6:20 at WCBS on the RWJ Barnabas Health Mets Game Night. Let's be healthy together. Visit rwjbh.org.
Our lives aren't like they used to be. They're busier. Early morning Zooms, grabbing coffee to make that in-office meeting, getting to your kid's soccer game on time. Life is different, and so is advertising. To reach any audience, you need your message out there in all media, broadcast to streaming, on screens, and right to the ears of your customers. And that's what we do at Odyssey. Let's build a media campaign that targets the customers you know and want to reach more of, right here in our community. Advertise with Odyssey. Visit ads.odyssey.com.
O'Reilly. Don't miss out on summer brake deals at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Right now, get 15% off a set of BrakeBest Select, Select Pro, or Import Direct brake pads and 2 rotors. Restore quality braking and improve stopping performance with parts and advice from the professional parts people. Save money now when you visit O'Reilly Auto Parts or O'ReillyAuto.com. O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Space may be the final frontier, but it's also what a lot of us lack in our basement or garage. By switching to a Navien tankless water heater, not only will you have all the hot water you need whenever you need it, but you'll gain storage area as well. Maybe a place to display your space collectibles. Highly logical. Learn about Navien's series of high-efficiency tankless water heaters and how they don't just save space, but save dollars on your utility bills too. For more, go to tanklessmadesimple.com.
Now, the Odyssey Lottery recap presented by Jackpocket. Tonight's Mega Millions drawing is for $464 million. Maybe we should all pool into that around here tonight. The Powerball is at $35 million. Order official state lottery games on your phone. Must be 18 or older to play. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY.
It's RWJ Barnabas Health Mets Game Night on WCBS 880.
Mets and Marlins tonight. First pitch 7:10 at Citi Field. Our pregame coming up in just a few minutes at 6:30. Well, before we get to money news tonight and traffic and weather and, of course, the Mets pregame, I just wanted to say to everybody, thank you. These are my last few minutes here on WCBS 880. The station, of course, will be on for another week, but I already had a vacation planned for next week so I can move 2 of my kids into their college dorms, and then after that, I'll have to take some time to figure out a new way to pay for those colleges. By the way, this was also the last day at work for my daughter as a summer camp counselor before she begins college, and we were commiserating this morning that today's the last day of work for both of us. So without my wife, Lori, and my kids, I don't know if I get through this, so thank you guys if you're listening. I would hope so. I also want to thank, of course, you, the listener. Like so many colleagues here, and you've heard some of them say it already the last few days, we have had so many listeners reach out on social media or email saying how upset you are that we'll be leaving the air, how we've been so important to you. We already knew we had a strong legion of listeners, but to see the messages from so many of you has really been heartwarming this week. Many of you have told us it's like you're losing a family member. Believe us, we feel the same. We're all going through the stages of grief, just at different speeds, I guess. Shock, denial, anger. Some of you are so angry I couldn't share your profanity-laced comments on the air. There's also the stage of depression, and eventually we all reach acceptance. I have worked in a lot of radio newsrooms over the last 33 years, all over the country. Upstate New York, Houston, Orlando. The longest I stayed at any of them was 5 years. And they were all great in their own ways, but this one was special, with special people and special listeners. I've been here 19 years. I'd hope to retire here in another, 10, 15 years. Alas, that's not going to happen. I have no idea what the future holds for me or a lot of my peers here, but it has been an honor and a privilege to have you invite us into your homes, your cars, your ears, wherever they were. It's a responsibility that we never took lightly, and I hope along the way we made you laugh a few times as well. Thank you so much for joining us, and good luck with wherever you find your news next. Another good day on Wall Street. At least the 401k is looking pretty good as we head out the door. Here's money news. Crunching the Numbers, sponsored by Eisner Amper. At Bloomberg, it's Erica Herskowitz.
This is a Bloomberg Money Minute. Unemployment rose in more than half of U.S. states last month, suggesting the weakness seen in the national jobs report that spooked markets last week extended well beyond Hurricane Beryl. New numbers released today by the Bureau of Labor Statistics show 13 states had significant increases in their unemployment rate in July, and Texas, where Beryl did the most damage, was not one of them. About 3% of MasterCard staff will soon be looking for work. The New York-based company says about 1,000 people will be laid off so it can, quote, realign the regions and businesses to accelerate growth. Gold has hit a new record today, topping $2,500 an ounce. It's been bolstered by hopes the Fed will start cutting interest rates next month. Investors were mining for deals today. The Dow was up 97 points, or 0.25%. The S&P added 11, 0.2%. The Nasdaq added 37, also 0.2%. I'm Nancy Lyons, Bloomberg Radio.
Get your laugh on with me, Chris Jericho, and the Talk is Jericho podcast. We've got Guns N' Roses Hall of Famer Duff McKagan and his joke of the week every Friday, plus regular visits from the hilarious Brad Williams and special appearances by everyone from Gabriel Fluffy Iglesias, Mark Maron, Dennis Miller, Cheech Marin, Kevin Nealon. If they're funny, they're on Talk is Jericho. So listen to and follow Talk is Jericho now on the free Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcasts.
The most refreshing part of a McDonald's soft drink is paying just $1.49. Any size, all day, every day. Like an icy cold Coke, Sprite, or even iced tea. Be warned though, once you pick up a refreshingly cold drink for $1.49 and people see just how refreshingly cold that drink for $1.49 is, you may create drink envy. There are drinks, then there are drinks from McDonald's. Price and participation may vary, cannot be combined with any other offer or combo meal.
An orthopedic surgeon can replace a damaged joint, but they can't replace time. For you, or for the person who has to drive you around. That's why you need a surgeon who's close to home. At RWJ Barnabas Health, we have the specialized care you need to get moving again. Do it right. Here. Visit rwjbh.org/ortho. RWJ Barnabas Health. Let's be healthy together.
Hey fantasy football fans, this is Faraz from Upper Hand Fantasy. We're here 5 times a week to get you ready for your fantasy football drafts with top-notch insights. Get the upper hand on your fantasy football season. Follow and listen to Upper Hand Fantasy on the free Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcasts.
Bronx, Queens, Bronx, Queens.
Hey Mitch,
Bronx,
what are they arguing
Bronx,
about?
Which borough has the better team? Queens.
Hey guys, be careful. Nobody has fixed that sidewalk in years.
Rothenberg Law Firm. InjuryLawyer.com.
Now what are they arguing about?
Which personal injury lawyer to call? Rothenberg Law Firm.
Should we tell them that the Rothenberg Law Firm is InjuryLawyer.com?
Nah, I find this amusing. They'll figure it out.
Be a lawyer for injured ones. InjuryLawyer.com.
6:28 at WCBS on Mets Game Night. Traffic and weather together, and for the last time, I toss to my friend Andre Ferro.
It's been great working with you, Mike. Nothing short of amazing. If you're traveling on the Brooklyn Bridge trying to get back to Manhattan, they're actually holding traffic right now. There's some police activity going on, and that's making the delays really bad now on the inbound Gowanus from 39th Street up to the Brooklyn Bridge, and the westbound BQE is feeling the brunt of this as well, passing exit 32. Now, the Manhattan Bridge is picking up a lot of extra volume. Back over to Queens, where you're heading towards Citi Field right now and seeing delays heading towards the ballpark all the way back to the mid-span area of the Whitestone Bridge and the southbound Whitestone Expressway. Eastbound delays continue on the Grand Central Parkway in front of Citi Field. And if you're traveling over the Triborough trying to get to the ballpark, you're going to be very slow trying to get towards Ditmars Boulevard and Astoria Boulevard and heading towards Steinway Street. Eastbound delays on the BQE heading up towards Queens Boulevard. Still seeing big delays on the westbound Northern LIE and even the Southern State Parkway trying to get to the Cross Island Parkway. Andre Ferro, WCBS Traffic Center.
80-degree evening at Citi Field right now. It's 82. The dew points all around the region are in the mid to upper 60s. Definitely more humid for tonight and right through the weekend. And tonight's low 68 to 74. Tomorrow's high 80 to 85 with a chance of a shower or two. Could be a shower or two Saturday night as well, and a shower or thunderstorm at just about any time on Sunday with highs up near 80 degrees. Again, 80 in the city, humidity 59%.
Thank you, Craig Allen. I'm going to call you every morning for a weather forecast, all right?
You be my guest.
Won't be annoying at all. Thanks, everybody. See you in the next life.
You've been listening to RWJ Barnabas Health Mets Game Night on WCBS 880. RWJ Barnabas Health. Let's be healthy together. Visit rwjbh.org.